Before we start, the name is at the top of the screen. A scene plays through her mind, her red eyes unfocused. What is this? In her memories, a girl sits in front of a video game, excitedly saying she cannot wait for the new Ria's update to release. Whose memories are these inside her head? The prince notices her and says she is frowning again. If she is his fiancé, why does she not learn to smile at least a little? She quickly apologizes. Then a girl with delicate feminine features approaches and softly says, "Dear Ignacia." She did not know he was here. The moment Emilia shows up, he forgets Charlotte entirely and turns to her with a smile, saying he is so glad she came. She smiles and says it is her pleasure. It is an honor to be invited to such a lovely soiree. Charlotte suddenly realizes it was her previous life. This new badge is Aden, the village at the end of the world, the highest level holy attribute. It is rumored to have something to do with the goddess Flotia, the top holy attribute character. She remembers how curious she was, how she could not wait for the maintenance to end. She was planning to rewatch the PV and learn more about it. The world's first VR open-world MMO, Ria's Life Online, also known as Ria's. Using the special device set, the Ria's Link, anyone could freely run through the vast world. Players were initially given the occupation of hinobis, but depending on their desires and attitudes, they could branch into various professions. Swordsman, hunter, healer, mage, explorer. If they met certain conditions, they could change occupations freely and even unlock countless other professions. There was even a unique profession that could only be claimed by one single player. They could sharpen their swordsmanship and magic, spend peaceful days pursuing hobbies and living a carefree life, or devote themselves entirely to fighting monsters. She remembers now. This was her previous life. This was the world of Ria's, the game Mizuko Tuisato used to play. And these faces, this situation. Emilia calls out to her worriedly and says she does not look too well. Is she feeling unwell? Charlotte quietly replies that she is fine and there is no need to worry. Suddenly, Emilia spills her drink onto her own dress and the glass shatters loudly on the floor. Emilia immediately begins crying, saying this was the dress the prince gave her. The prince quickly pulls Emilia beside him and glares at Charlotte, demanding to know what she has done. Charlotte thinks to herself that she knew it. So that is how it is. Ria's Love, the spin-off Otome game of Ria's Life Online. She has been reincarnated as Charlotte Corcoriera. Ria's Love gained popularity because of a male NPC character from Ria's Life Online. It was a rather unusual Otome game that had been rushed into production, with several systems carelessly added while still sharing the exact same world as Ria's Life Online. In her previous life, she had also played Ria's Love, which means this man is her fiancé, the crown prince of the kingdom of Fablum. This girl is Emilia, the heroine of Ria's Love, and this entire flow of events. The prince demands to know what the meaning of this is. Did she hate him giving Emilia a dress that much? Charlotte curtly replies that she did nothing. The prince closes his eyes in irritation and tells her not to insult him with such a pathetic excuse. Out of consideration for his relationship with the duke, he has tolerated her behavior until now. But what kind of queen would someone like her ever become? Charlotte asks him what he means. He proudly declares that before long he will become the king of this land, and the person standing beside him should be someone pure-hearted and kind. He asks her if she is a dark mage. She quietly answers yes. He reminds her that Emilia, on the other hand, is a healer. When they first met, Emilia healed his injuries with her holy power. In this country, healers are incredibly rare, and Emilia is a precious existence blessed with extraordinary abilities. Emilia blushes shyly and says he praises her too much. But the prince continues, saying that someone who heals the wounded with holy power is far more suited to becoming queen. Is she not? Charlotte reminds him that their engagement was decided with the future of the kingdom in mind after considering many opinions, including His Majesty's. She does not believe it is something that should be discarded so lightly. The prince sighs and says she should stop talking nonsense. Since professions in this world cannot be changed, it is simply reality. that a dark mage like her could never obtain holy power like Emilia's. When Charlotte attempts to object, he suddenly snaps that she still does not understand. There is no place beside him for a dull woman who cannot even smile properly. Charlotte jerks back as though she has been struck. Why? Why does she have to hear something like this? Ever since she was little, she has devoted herself to becoming a proper queen. Her days were so full there was barely even time to breathe. She remembers herself as a child crying quietly in bed because studying was exhausting and manners lessons terrified her. Back then, she picked up a storybook to comfort herself. To save the kidnapped princess, the hero entered the dragon's lair, only to discover the dragon fast asleep. The hero tried sneaking past, but the dragon awoke. They fought fiercely, yet the battle ended in a draw. She had murmured back then that she was glad both the dragon and the princess were safe. And she had wondered if she were kidnapped by a dragon, whether His Highness Ignacia would come rescue her. Back in the present, she realizes it was never that she disliked smiling. She simply never had the luxury to smile while trying so desperately to become the perfect queen. The prince coldly states that a queen incapable of even pretending to smile would never earn the people's trust. Would it not be better for the kingdom if she simply prayed for peace quietly from afar? Besides, he accuses she has been bullying Emilia behind his back. Has she not? Charlotte immediately protests that it is all a misunderstanding, but the prince suddenly raises his hand and loudly declares that today, he hereby annuls his engagement with Charlotte Corcoriera and simultaneously exiles her from the kingdom. Charlotte stares at him in shock and calls his title, but he merely says it is too late for any lingering feelings she may still have. He orders her to leave. Charlotte quietly replies that she understands. The prince tells her that even now, if she cries and begs for forgiveness, he may consider reducing her punishment. But instead, she calmly turns away and says no, thank you. Then she glances back over her shoulder and glares at him, declaring she will leave this country. The enormous double doors open behind her as she walks away. The prince stands there frozen in disbelief. Outside, Charlotte gasps for air. In the heat of the moment, she stormed out, but now she realizes she does not even know where the carriage stop is. More than that, she feels suffocated. She cannot breathe properly. Her body is weak and out of shape after years of endless studies. In her previous life, she had devoted herself to track and field, but after injuring her leg during her student years, she buried herself in the world of Rias instead. Now she can run properly on her own 2 feet. As she approaches her carriage, the coachman calls out in surprise, asking if the party ended already. Charlotte tells him she has urgent matters to attend to and would like to leave immediately. He tells her the carriage will be ready in just a moment. As she waits, her gaze slowly drifts upward toward the beautiful sun hanging in the sky. She stares at it in awe. It is beautiful, much more beautiful than it looked in the game. Suddenly, a shooting star streaks across the sky and disappears quickly, but she still makes a wish. Then she pauses and realizes there is no need to sit around waiting for wishes to come true. What she truly wants is to see more of this world. She decides then and there that she will enjoy every piece of scenery this world has to offer. The coachman calls out to her, informing her they are ready to depart. She thanks him and says she is coming. As the carriage carries her toward her new journey, the image of the prince standing beside Emilia while exiling her flashes through her mind once more. But Charlotte clenches her fist tightly and reminds herself that it is all right. She possesses the knowledge of Rias. From this point onward, she is no longer merely the crown prince's fiancé. She is going to enjoy her freedom as much as she possibly can. Back at the mansion, her maid remarks in surprise that she returned early, but Charlotte runs straight toward her room, apologizing in a hurry and saying she is in a rush. She quickly starts packing her bags. From this point onward, it is a race against time. She picks up her suitcase after she is fully packed and smiles softly, thinking she can leave before it gets too late. As she steps into the hallway, her parents are already waiting there. Her father looks at her with concern, asking if something is wrong. Her mother asks where is she going at this hour. She descends the stairs calmly, then stops in front of them and apologizes gently. His Highness has broken off their engagement, she says. Her father flinches and asks what? She blinks up at him innocently and casually says she has been exiled from this country, so she will be leaving before she becomes a burden to the family. Her mother says, as always, that prince is so troublesome. As a fellow mother, she sympathizes with the Queen Bershiarna, while her father shakes in anger and suddenly shouts, "What has the prince done to his little Char?" This would not do. They are going to the royal castle right now. She tries to stop him, but he is already storming away without looking back. Her mother says, honestly, even though he is usually an excellent knight captain, when it comes to his daughter, he loses his temper very easily. And then her mother says, but she knows he is also a parent who wants to protect his daughter. The Kokoria family has no obligation to tolerate the tyranny of a selfish prince. They will take care of the rest. There is nothing to worry about. She then takes her hand into hers and softly tells her there is no need for her to leave. She looks at her mother sadly, thinking indeed this house is filled with memories of her family. Although she has knowledge of her past life, embarking on this journey does not mean she is without problems. She softly thanks her mother for her concern, but reminds her she is no longer engaged to His Highness. Her eyes shine with excitement as she thinks of witnessing that magnificent scenery. She cannot just leave that wonderful scene as a memory. She tells her mother, excitedly, she wants to see more things. She wants to travel the world on her own 2 feet. Her mother is surprised for a moment, but then says indeed it is a good thing to let the little ones go on a journey, and tells her to send her a letter occasionally. Would she? She smiles brightly and says yes. Later, she walks through the streets with a worried look. For now she has stepped into town, but the carriages do not leave until morning, and she stands out too much in this attire. She would like to get a discreet attire early on, but it is night, so there are a few shops open. She then comes across an armor shop and thinks maybe they have weapons too. This place might be open. She enters and apologizes for coming so late. She just wanted to buy something, but the shopkeeper tells her it is already closing time. She pleads with him that she really needs to get her gear by tonight. The shopkeeper finally agrees and tells her only if she would take a little time. She thanks him very much. She then looks around thinking they have an impressive selection. With this, she might find items similar to those she could get in Ria's, but in this world that has become reality, she wonders how much of the gaming knowledge she gained in her past life will actually apply. It seems that the events at the evening party unfolded according to the scenario of Ria's love, but the worldview of Ria's love she played in her previous life was based on the construction of Ria's life online. If that is the case, then this world too. But then she snaps herself out of her memories, reminding herself she needs to decide what to buy quickly. She needs to get a change of clothes, and she hopes she can find a robe that was a beginner's item in Ria's. She quickly picks something up and tells the shopkeeper she will borrow the fitting room, and when she steps out, she is wearing a cat robe. The shopkeeper watches her with surprise and says, "Oh, that is quite adorable." "A cat robe, huh?" She replies, "Yes." He then admits he has never seen a customer choose that before and asks her what her occupation is. She smiles and tells him she is a healer. He says, "Oh, that is rare." She giggles, thinking to be exact, she is planning to change into a healer, different from Ria's life online, which focuses on fully enjoying the game world. In the Otome game Ria's Love, there was no job change system. That is why His Highness was obsessed with the difference between her and Emilia's occupation. But it is probably safe to say that the system in this world is similar to Ria's life online. The existence of the item cat rope not found in Ria's life is evidence of that. If that is the case, if she follows the same procedures as in Ria's life online, she should be able to change her occupation from dark mage to a healer. Her experience from her previous life, where she played the game as a supporter, can be put to good use here. Well, though she does not feel zero desire to retaliate against Prince Ignatius' rude remarks. Instead, someday, she would like to become a class and show off in a cool way. The shopkeeper tells her that robe only increases agility and jumping ability. There is no bonus effect for healer. She replies since her level is still low, She appreciates the facts that provide advantages in actual battle, which are more helpful for gathering experience points. She then points at the staff and says she will take it too. He waves at her when she leaves the shop. She then goes jumping, saying she is all set. Now she just needs to find a place to stay. She finds people staring at her and quickly takes off her hood. The next day, she looks at the view, exclaiming, "Wow, what a nice view." She is in a wagon with everyone else. To become a healer, she needs to go to the neighboring holy nation, Alenzi, one night each at a traveler's inn and a range village. She plans to head to the holy city of Tsire in the holy land of Alenzi. It is quite a long journey, but being able to enjoy the scenery is great. A little girl touches her arm and says, "Is she a cat?" But her mother immediately takes her into her lap and angrily tells her she cannot touch without permission. Her father apologizes, saying his daughter troubled her. She smiles and says no, and asks if they are traveling with their family. The father replies yes, his parents live near the border. The child then asks her where she is going. She says she is heading to Tsire. Her mother hears her curiosity and says, "Do you see that Ire in the holy land of Alenzi?" She replies yes, and thinks, "Oh crap, the kingdom of Fablum is against the holy land of Alenzi." But the mother smiles and tells her she also traveled to the holy kingdom of Alenzi in the past. She asks, "Is that so?" She says yes, in the Fablum kingdom, combat occupations are likely to be favored over support roles like hers. That is why she admired the holy kingdom of Alenzi, where support roles receive more attention. In this country, some people accuse them of isolating support roles. In the Fablum kingdom, combat roles are likely to be favored. So she admired the holy kingdom of Alenzi. The townscape was beautiful and many support roles were lively and thriving there. It would be great if people of various occupations could thrive in the kingdom of Fablum. The child's mother says yes, it would contribute to a more vibrant and diverse society. She then hugs the child to her chest and says this child's future potential. She is sure that her future possibilities will even be richer and broader. Charlotte thinks if she had been His Highness Ignatius' wife, she wonders if they could have changed the future of their country together. It is something she cannot help but think about. As the family leaves, she waves at them, and then another stop comes, and she stays in the tents at night. And then the next morning she finally arrives. She looks at the city with her mouth falling open in awe. What a beautiful city of Tsire. She would like to take her time and go sightseeing, but first of all, she needs to find an inn. Later, she makes a pose with her staff and declares here they go, time to hunt monsters. This field has a nice view too and smells like grass. Well, what she's about to do is far from refreshing. It is a tedious and gritty tutorial quest. Here she has to defeat two kinds of monsters, Pruru and Flower Rabbit, and drop materials, Pruru Jelly and Rabbit Flower. After that, collect the plant called White Flower Herb by gathering. Once she has all the necessary materials, she can ask a certain person to create an item called Bracelet of Adventure. She lunges for the monster with her sword, eyes brimming with excitement. She found a monster right away and then slays it, but as she picks up the material, she realizes it did not bother her when she was playing the game, but experiencing it in real life makes her guilty. At any rate, she got her first material. She is going to hunt more and more. Soon she finally gets all of the materials. She is now exhausted and she just needs to go back to the city. She looks at the setting sun. It feels like a different world painted in crimson. Later, she arrives at the city, looking around for a house with a red roof. She spots one and then knocks on it. An old woman opens it and says it is rare for her to have a visitor. She wishes her a good morning and says she heard she can craft a bracelet of adventure here. The woman opens the door fully and steps out saying, "This is strange." She cannot believe she would want something like that. She is a strange girl, is she not? And tells her to come in. Inside, the old woman introduces herself as Luminous and asks her who is she. She tells her she is Sharon. The woman says Sharon is a nice name. Charlotte smiles to herself, thinking she's glad she thought of an alias beforehand. It means if they found out who she is, things could get ugly. Luminous then asks her if she is an adventurer. She replies no, she thought she would get her bracelet first, and then go register as an adventurer. Luminous says that is a good idea. It will come in handy. But there is a condition for getting a bracelet of adventurer. Is she up for the challenge? Suddenly, a quest window shows up. She looks surprised for a moment, but then she smiles nervously and says yes, she needs materials for making the bracelet of adventurer, right? She has already prepared them. The woman takes the materials from her in shock and says, "What the hell? Everything she was going to ask for is already there." Charlotte asks her if she can make the bracelet with this. Luminous replies, "Oh my gosh, she really is one hell of a girl," and tells her to wait a moment, telling her she will make some tea and she is welcome to join her if she likes. She gives her something and tells her it is the snack which is her favorite. She cannot get enough of the freshly scented sweet village fruit. She realizes she is right, it is true, it is delicious. And then soon she prepares the bracelet of adventure and gives it to her. There is a crystal embedded in the center, shining brightly. She quickly wears it and thinks it has got an odd story size feature just like the game. Luminous then asks her if she knows how to use it. She replies yes and tells her that she will check it for a moment. Her system menu shows up. However, guild, friends, mail, and even the camera are unavailable. But other than that, she comes across a strange title, The Woman Who Had Her Engagement Broken Off and Looks Horrified, wondering what this is and clicks it. She narrows her eyes, thinking even though it is true, it is still a pretty harsh title. But a 5% attack resistance from male opponents. It is unknown whether monsters even have genders, but this might actually be a good thing. Her train of thoughts abruptly ends when Luminous asks if something is on her mind, wondering if there is an issue with the function. She nervously waves her hand and blurts out no. She is just impressed with the bracelet's convenience. Now she can adventure without worries. Luminous smiles at her excited reaction and says she is glad. Outside, she tells her she does not need to explain further. The south gate near here has already been registered as a transfer gate on her bracelet. It will make traveling back and forth between gates much easier, and she tells her to stop by if she has time. She replies that she will and thanks her so much for all her help. The elderly woman smiles and says that with that bracelet, she can now act freely as an adventurer, and she is looking forward to hearing her name spread far and wide. She clenches her fist, eyes filled with determination, and promises the lady she will do her best while telling her to take care of herself. Luminous waves at her and says she can come visit anytime. Charlotte then looks up at the sky filled with stars, thinking it is already getting dark, but the stars are so beautiful. She lifts her hand and looks at the bracelet on her wrist, shining just like one of the stars. Now that she finally has the bracelet of adventure safely in hand, tomorrow she will change her class to healer. The next day, she walks through a hallway with an incredibly grand ceiling and beautiful chandeliers hanging above. It is the Florida Cathedral. In the game, she has visited this place many times, but experiencing this mysterious atmosphere in person is truly captivating. The condition for becoming a healer is to pray to the statue of the goddess Florida in the cathedral's prayer room. She thinks the prayer room should be over there and starts walking in that direction. But then she comes across a man passing by in a long white robe. His calm eyes meet hers, immediately making her flustered. Who is he supposed to be? For some reason, she feels like he is watching her. He welcomes her to the Grand Cathedral of Florida and asks how he may help her. She glances at him from head to toe, carefully observing his attire. Maybe he is a high priest. Could they have already figured out that she is a mage? The dark goddess Lului and the goddess Florida, whom the cathedral worships, have a strained relationship. It would be troublesome if she were misunderstood and kicked out before even changing classes. Anyway, she just needs to give a safe answer. She forces a polite smile and says she came here to pray. He replies in a professional voice that it is a good attitude and tells her he will guide her to the prayer room. She thanks him very much. As she follows behind him, she cannot help but think a priest is personally guiding her. Who on earth is this guy? He eventually brings her to the prayer room and gestures toward it, saying he hopes she has a meaningful time before quietly walking away. She steps inside the prayer room and looks up at the towering statue of the goddess Florida, standing in all her divine glory with a staff resting in her hand. Her eyes widen in awe. Amazing It is so majestic. Finally, a new class. Even so, she feels a little nervous. Besides, prayers for a class change must be offered while kneeling directly in front of the goddess. There are many other people praying here, but if she goes all the way to the front, she is definitely going to stand out. But then she clenches her fist again, reminding herself this is no time to be embarrassed. She links her hands together in prayer and kneels down. "O Florida, goddess of light and healing, I pray to become your servant." Suddenly, light bursts from the statue. She peeks one eye open. That is right. During a class change, there is always a flashy presentation. But if this keeps going, it is definitely going to cause a commotion. Then a voice echoes throughout the prayer room. "You wish to become my follower. I shall accept the purest desires of your heart." She stills in shock. This is the voice of the goddess Florida. The voice declares that normally a suitable tribute would be required, but since she is the owner of the bracelet of adventure, it will not ask that of her this time. She thinks in relief that she is so glad she got the bracelet and silently thanks her for her generosity. Then the goddess suddenly replies, "You are welcome." She flinches. Does she know what she is thinking? If that is true, then these words are not just stage dialogue. She remains frozen in place, fingers still linked together in prayer, her lips slightly parted in shock. Maybe the goddess really exists in this world. The goddess explains that it is extremely rare for them to manifest before humans. Almost no one wishes to become her follower anymore. Thanks to her, she was able to enjoy herself after such a long time. Then she declares she bestows her blessing upon her and tells her to guide the world toward healing. Her eyes fill with awe, yes. Later, she is checking her status. The class change is finally complete. She cries out in relief that this is great. Just as expected, the same class change system from Ria's functions in this world too. Her level has reset back to the beginning, so from now on it is all about leveling up and acquiring skills. But then her attention breaks, and she looks toward the women around her, all staring at her with different levels of shocked expressions. One of them murmurs in disbelief what that was all about. The statue of Lady Florida started glowing. Could it have been a miracle? Her smile freezes. Oh no, she really stood out in the worst way possible. Even though it was only a class change, it apparently looked like a divine miracle to everyone else. She quickly pulls up her cat hood, thinking she needs to escape before this becomes troublesome, then immediately dashes out of the prayer room without looking back. Outside, she finally stops to catch her breath. She is in such a hurry that she is glad she used the cat's robe to increase her speed. On the way here, she also managed to register the transfer gate in the central square. Now she needs to get herself back on track. She is going to register as an adventurer at the Guild. The Adventurers Guild is a neutral organization with branches spread all across the world. It issues various requests to adventurers. She opens the door and instantly feels the atmosphere change completely from outside. There are people casually chatting with each other everywhere, some sitting around comfortably. The place feels lively and cozy. She gasps, "Wow, so this is the guild." But then she pauses after overhearing a group of men talking nearby about the miracle at the cathedral. They say a mysterious person prayed and the statue of the goddess suddenly began shining. She stares at them in disbelief. Wow, the rumors have already spread this far? She definitely needs to be careful not to get caught. She approaches the reception desk and tells the receptionist that she would like to register as an adventurer. The receptionist greets her with a warm smile and asks if she is new here. Placing a respectful hand over her chest, she introduces herself as Prim. Charlotte introduces herself using her new name, Sharon. Prim explains that first they need to check her aptitude and asks her to place her hand on the star memory. She also asks whether her level is below 50, because anything higher is outside the device's reading range. She replies yes. Prim nods and says she will now read her occupation and level. She places her hand above the star memory, and her information appears. Level 1, Healer. Prim says that if there are no problems, she will register it as it is. She then hands her a contract and tells her to look through it while they finish the registration process. She reads through the details. The main point is that being an adventurer is dangerous, and there is no guarantee of survival. Adventurers are ranked from S, A, B, C, D, E, down to F from highest to lowest. Right now, she is rank F. The higher one's rank, the better requests they can accept. It also becomes easier to level up efficiently and obtain rare items. In other words, her goal is to become an S-rank adventurer. She smiles confidently, looking determined, thinking she will do her best. Prim smiles at her and thanks her for waiting. Her registration is now complete. She hands over her adventurer card and explains that it can also be used as an identification card, so she should keep it safe. She accepts it with a thank you and thinks that finally, the adventure begins. She asks what kind of request she should take first. Prim tells her there is actually a newly formed party currently looking for a healer. If she is interested, perhaps she would like to join them. She asks if that is really okay. Prim replies of course and points toward two people nearby, introducing them as Mr. Kent and Miss Coco. Prim leans toward their table and says she wants to introduce Sharon, a level 1 healer. Kent looks surprised and says he thought they already found a healer. Coco gasps and says because their levels were too low, she thought nobody would take them seriously. Charlotte steps forward and introduces herself as Sharon the healer. She admits she is only level 1, so she probably will not be able to help them much at first. Kent points at himself and says their levels are about even anyway. He introduces himself as Kent the swordsman. Coco smiles brightly and says she is a mage. Having a healer in the party is really reassuring. Prim claps her hands together excitedly and congratulates them on forming a party. She asks if they would like to register their party and accept some beginner requests. She recommends wolf extermination and gathering medicinal herbs. Kent immediately smiles and says they should definitely do that combination. Coco looks at him and says he is way too excited. He looks offended and says he does not care. Charlotte laughs softly and says that since they probably need time to prepare, why do they not leave in about half an hour? The two excitedly tell her they will see her later. She thinks to herself that she already bought everything she needed before coming here, so she really has nothing left to prepare. Her gaze drifts toward the request board. She wonders if there are any profitable requests. The money she brought from her parents' house is limited. Most of the requests seem like beginner jobs meant for earning small amounts of money. Then her eyes suddenly stop on one request offering an enormous reward, 3 million Rizu. The request is for the delivery of the lamenting jewel. She takes the paper off the board and stares at it. The Jewel of Sorrows, that if she remembers correctly, it was an unknown item in Ria's. She is curious about it and does not know much about it, but she can ask Miss Prim. Prim holds the request paper with a small frown and explains that the request has been posted for a very long time, but nobody knows where the lamentation treasure is. Because of that, it has remained unfinished all this time. Charlotte says there is not much anyone can do if nobody even knows where it is, right? Prim replies that there is no deadline for the request. If she ever finds the treasure of sorrows, she should let her know. Just then, Coco and Ken arrive. Kent waves toward her while Coco thanks her for waiting. They say they are fully prepared now. Charlotte smiles and says that since everyone is here, they should go hunt some wolves and gather medicinal herbs. Coco and Kent look at the map. Coco says this is it, right? The Heschlichen Forest. Kent says that is where it is supposed to be. It is on the map, a little far away from them. Charlotte is on the side in her own happy world as light, cute flowers float around her. Kent and Coco finally notice her when she starts taking too many deep breaths. Kent asks why she is taking so many deep breaths, and Coco asks if she is nervous or something. She says no. She thought she would just calm down the excitement of encountering this beautiful forest. Coco asks her if she likes nature. She exclaims she gets happy when she sees beautiful scenery. She has never really left the house before. She has been working hard to get to the next level. She wants to explore the world. Kent says, so that is what she is saying, and admits he wants to become a strong swordsman and go on many adventures too. Coco giggles and says they're both so enthusiastic. All right, then let's plan. They will take the lead. Kent says Sharon and Coco should take the rear. Soon Kent is in a fight with a huge wolf that lunges at him. Even in danger, he smirks and tells it to come at him. He swings his sword, cutting into its side. Coco quickly follows up, casting a fireball. The spell hits the wolf, and he is sent staggering backwards. Kent cheers in victory, shouting that it worked. But Charlotte immediately warns them that it is not defeated yet. The wolf suddenly surges again. Kent barely manages to raise his sword in time as it lunges. Coco gasps and calls his name. Before the wolf can hit him, Charlotte rushes in and slashes down with all her force. The wolf collapses. Materials drop to the ground as silence follows. Charlotte says they did it. Subjugation is successful and checks her status. As expected from the wolf, she gains 2 levels at once. She acquires the skills heal and body strengthening at level 1, and so on. If her level goes up while adding support skills, if she strengthens the level of heal, eventually she should be able to advance to the secondary job of a healer and further to the 3rd job of a high priest. Kent quickly rushes over to the girls, asking if they are okay and apologizing for letting his guard down. His hand is injured from the fight. Charlotte quickly casts her healing magic, and the wound heals in an instant. Kent and Coco stare at his hand in shock. Flustered, Charlotte smiles and says it is good that the healing skill came in handy, then asks Coco if she is hurt. Coco shakes her head and says no. Kent thanks her again for healing him. Coco then asks in surprise how she already knows her skills. Kent says she knows the first time she can use a skill is at level 6 or so. She jerks back, looking at them with a dumbfounded face, and murmurs if that is so. Coco asks what her current stats are. She says after defeating the wolf, her level became 3, and the acquired skills are just heal and body strengthening. She asks them if something is wrong. Kent says in shock that not only heal, but also body strengthening. Coco adds it is a bit too much. It is too early to be able to use 2 skills at the same time. Charlotte looks confused and wonders what they mean. Compared to the game days, the leveling system should be quite normal. Kent says skills are usually learned 1 at a time. Right. Coco adds they cannot learn other skills until they reach the max level of the one they acquired. She thinks about it and wonders if that means she cannot assign skill points freely. Is that inconvenient? She looks at her bracelet and thinks the bracelet of adventure allows her to choose her skills with its function, but others cannot. If she does not have the bracelet, the maximum accumulation of skill points is probably around 4. She supposes that at the point of reaching the limit, one of the available skills will be automatically allocated. This bracelet of adventure, it was definitely a good decision to obtain it early on. Kent says at least her skill healed his injury. Lucky him. Coco says she wants to be able to use various attribute skills as soon as possible. She encourages her, saying she is sure she can do it. Kent then asks, also he was wondering, a healer is not a job to kill monsters, right? She smiles and says at her current level, it is more useful in combat. She can kill 2 birds with 1 stone by leveling up more efficiently. Kent asks, is that so? While Coco gasps and declares it is a novel strategy. She smiles and says it is just a rough tactic for starters. If it were against tougher monsters, she would not do something so reckless. Kent mutters, it is troublesome when the healer gets injured. Coco tells both of them to stop. The next wolf is coming. Suddenly, the wolf jumps at them. Kent quickly takes out his sword while a burst of light comes from Charlotte's hand as she uses body strengthening on Kent. Kent looks at it in shock and says, wow. He feels so light, looks like they can win this with ease. Coco says thanks to Sharon, it is like having the strength of 100 people. Charlotte smiles and says it is all thanks to the 2 of them. They should keep going like this. After they have fought the wolves, Kent looks tired and mutters that it is exhausting to fight continuously. Coco agrees with him. Charlotte says how about they take a break and gather some medical herbs. Kent replies that sounds good and asks where she thinks they grow. Coco points ahead and says that field looks good. They approach it. Then Kent points at one and says, is not this a medical herb? Coco tells him it is actually a poisonous herb. She mutters that Kent is always so passionate about sword fighting. That is why he never helped with picking mountain vegetables. Coco explains poisonous plants have jagged edges and the underside of the leaves are a little darker. Did she not teach him that before? Both Kent and Charlotte stare at Coco with confused eyes and blank faces. Charlotte thinks, to be honest, she does not know much about plants either. She is so glad to hear Coco explain it. Charlotte then asks if they have been friends since they were little. Coco smiles and says they are childhood friends. She is 14 and Kent smiles and says he is 15. Kent admits he left the village to become an adventurer and Coco followed him. He is totally fine on his own. However, Coco huffs and says it is not safe for him to go alone. He does not even know the difference between medical herbs and poisonous herbs. Charlotte smiles nervously and says they are so close. Both of them immediately protest at the same time that they are not. She laughs, saying in perfect sync. But then Coco looks at some herbs. Kent quickly warns them there is another wolf. Charlotte is ready to use her body strengthening, while Coco raises her staff to grant flames. Kent stands ahead of them and says he will hunt the wolf down. Later, Charlotte looks at her bracelet and thinks she has reached level 12. That is enough for one day. Coco says she is glad it ended safely, while Kent stretches his arms and asks when they will return to town. They should treat themselves to delicious food with the reward from the quest. The girls immediately agree, but when they return to town, the atmosphere feels gloomy. She hears men talking about a party of heroes. The story is that the prince of the neighboring country is traveling here. Charlotte's eyes widen, and she wonders if the prince from the neighboring country could be His Highness Ignacia. Lost in thought, Charlotte walks ahead of them aimlessly. Coco calls out to her and asks if something is wrong. Is she all right? Kent asks if she is tired. She replies she is fine and reminds them they need to report the quest soon. Then they walk into the guild and Miss Prim, still on the reception, greets them with a warm smile. Kent says they are back. Miss Prim welcomes them and asks how their first party experience was. All of them cheer and say it was great. Prim happily says, so that is what it is. To confirm their achievements, they should present their adventurer cards. Kent takes out his card and says this card is really convenient. Coco says it automatically records their accomplishments in battles, and they can also check their levels and skills. Charlotte thinks some of the functions of the Bracelet of Adventure can be substituted with the Adventurer card. She checks all of their cards and says they have killed 23 wolves and collected 5 bundles of herbs. She then tells them the reward is 31,000 rizu. Kent takes the pouch of coins with a cheer. Coco smiles and says they should have a feast tonight. Kent lifts his hands in joy and says they should eat meat. And Charlotte says meat is best after hard work. Then, many guards enter the guild. Everyone looks in surprise, wondering if someone famous has arrived. A woman steps forward with 2 girls who look alike standing on each side of her. She raises her hand and asks if anyone knows about a dungeon called Alongoa's Paradise. Charlotte thinks this is the dungeon with the mansion created by the sage Alongoa. There is a garden on the premises where rare medicinal herbs can be obtained, making it convenient for harvesting. But there are many tricky traps and gimmicks along the way, making it difficult for first-time adventurers to navigate. The woman says after entering, if they proceed 2 sections ahead, poisonous mist envelopes them, making it impossible to proceed if only they knew how to stop it. She looks around, realizing no one is answering. Dungeon strategies should be shared among adventurers, and yet, Charlotte then speaks up and tells her that they are not meant to stop the poisonous fog. Instead, she can pass through by using a hidden passage nearby. The woman looks mildly surprised and asks if that is true. Charlotte smiles nervously and says the poisonous fog is a decoy, a blindfold of sorts. There are many dangerous traps there. Prim calls out to her in shock and asks how she knows that. There are only a few references to Alongoa's Paradise in old documents. It has not even been confirmed yet. Charlotte looks at her in shock, her mouth slightly open. She thinks world knowledge of items and dungeon information is not as widespread as she expected, and she has said unnecessary things. She becomes flustered and says she is not sure and that she has dinner plans, so she would like to be excused. However, the woman appears just behind her and leans in close, her voice dropping into a quiet whisper against her ear. She says she does not mean to pry, but she cannot afford to miss any valuable information. She turns Charlotte around and looks at her with intense eyes, saying they are running out of time and asking her to show her Ilongo's paradise. She quickly apologizes for the late introduction. She is Fry. She is the hero. Charlotte looks at her, mouth slightly open in shock. A hero is a unique profession that only one person in the world can have. Hero, a unique profession that can only exist once in the entire world. Charlotte quietly stares at Fry, her thoughts growing complicated. Can she really become a guide for someone so amazing? She already hears disturbing rumors surrounding His Highness Ignacia, and anyone connected to people that famous naturally stands out. Sadly, drawing attention is the last thing she wants. But Fry keeps holding her hands tightly and looks at her with hopeful eyes, as though placing all her trust in her alone. Charlotte realizes it is already too late for that now. Feeling cornered, she finally speaks softly, saying that if it is within her capabilities, she will gladly accept. Fry immediately brightens up and asks if it is true. She quickly thanks Charlotte and promises she will be compensated properly. Charlotte then introduces herself as Sharon and says it is a pleasure to meet her. Fry laughs warmly and says that is a lovely name, then tells her to call her Fry. The two shake hands. The identical girls beside Fry suddenly become excited. One of them blurts out that they actually found someone amazing, while the other says there is hope now, right? Fry turns back toward her group and proudly points at Charlotte, declaring that Sharon will be guiding them through the dungeon. One of the girls introduces herself as Luna, the wizard. The other smiles brightly and introduces herself as Lena, Luna's twin sister, adding that she is looking forward to working together. The much shorter cat beast woman beside them waves energetically and introduces herself as Tort, saying she is Frey's helper and is happy to have more friends. Charlotte politely tells them it is nice to meet them. Fry then says that now introductions are done. Everyone should prepare tonight because they will leave tomorrow morning. Charlotte nods and says understood. Fry waves at her and says she will see her tomorrow at the guild. The twins enthusiastically wave goodbye as well and tell her to rest well. Charlotte bows her head gratefully. After they leave, Kent and Coco immediately appear beside her and ask if she is all right. Coco lets out a small sigh and says things became troublesome rather quickly. Charlotte turns toward them with a guilty expression and apologizes. Kent simply laughs and rests a hand behind his head, telling her not to worry about it. It is not every day they get the chance to guide the hero's party. Charlotte softly asks about the meat feast with the two of them. Coco smiles helplessly and says gathering the right equipment takes longer than Charlotte thinks. They can always have their feast another time. Charlotte looks at both of them apologetically and thanks them, promising they will definitely work together again. Kent waves enthusiastically and wishes her good luck, while Coco promises they are rooting for her. After parting ways with them, Charlotte steps outside and thinks the tool shop should still be open at this hour. She quickly runs toward it. As soon as she enters, the shopkeeper welcomes her and asks what he can do for her. Charlotte immediately says she wants as much puru jelly as they have. The man looks mildly surprised and says they currently have around 300 in stock, asking if she is sure she wants all of them. Charlotte frowns slightly and says only 300. She wanted more. Then she calmly lists the rest of what she needs. 3 spell waters, 3 demon stones, and 10 empty potion bottles. The shopkeeper nods and says he will prepare everything, though he doubts she can carry that much alone. Charlotte tells him it is all right and activates her magic bag. Instantly, all the items disappear inside it. The man jumps slightly in surprise and apologizes, saying he did not know she possessed a magic bag. He politely adds that they look forward to her continued patronage. Charlotte thanks him while quietly thinking she merely used the simple storage function from the Bracelet of Adventure. Once outside, a mischievous smile slowly appears on her face. At least now she has the bare minimum of supplies. She walks toward the water flowing beneath the bridge running through the city and dips her hand into it. The water is so clear she can nearly see the bottom. She thinks this should make good holy water. The waterway is connected to the spring beneath the sacred tree growing in front of the cathedral. If she fills the empty potion bottles with this water and activates the automatic skill Blessed Light after changing her occupation to healer, the water can be transformed into holy water. Holy water is an essential material for making potions. There will definitely come a time when it becomes useful in Alongoa's paradise. Charlotte activates the automatic skill Blessed Light. A soft glow spreads from her hands, and the water inside the bottles slowly changes into holy water. She quietly exclaims that it is a success. At this rate, she should be able to make around 5 bottles. As she works, her thoughts drift toward the Paradise Dungeon. It has been a long time since she last challenged a dungeon, and the thought makes her nervous. Still, she is certain the garden filled with rare medicinal herbs will be beautiful. She looks up at the night sky. The moon hangs high above the city, surrounded by countless stars. Softly, almost to herself, she admits that she is getting nervous. She wonders if she will even be able to sleep tonight. The next morning, as sunlight begins to spread across the city, Charlotte wakes early. She is already dressed in her cat robe while checking her status. Her skills have improved. She also learns regeneration, a skill that restores her strength every 10 seconds. It is an extremely useful ability. When she arrives at the guild, the hero's party is already there waiting for her. One of the identical sisters waves enthusiastically and wishes her a good morning. Charlotte asks how everyone is doing. They happily reply that they are doing great, and soon all of them raise their hands excitedly, declaring that it is time to go. After a long journey, they finally arrive at the entrance of Alongoa's paradise. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a cave. When Fry asks Charlotte if she is all right with the darkness, Charlotte replies that she is actually rather excited. Lena smiles and says Charlotte is more curious than she expected. Charlotte laughs softly and says she dreams of seeing all the wonderful sights in the world. Fry watches her for a moment before saying that her smile looks innocent and endearing. Charlotte's entire face immediately turns red. What? Her thoughts instantly drift toward a certain highness once saying she was a boring woman who never even laughed. Lena quickly agrees with Fry and says Charlotte really did say it with a nice expression. Tort energetically declares that the bigger the dream and the bigger the fish, the better. Charlotte looks genuinely surprised and admits she never knew that saying before. Fry then says this request unfortunately puts Charlotte at a disadvantage. Lena explains that the level difference between Charlotte and the rest of them is more than 15. Because of that, Charlotte falls outside the range for shared experience within the party registration. Fry clenches her fist and promises they will at least make the trip enjoyable for her. Charlotte thanks everyone for worrying about her. Fry grins mischievously and says it is their pleasure, then thanks Charlotte again for agreeing to help them. Luna says she is glad Charlotte feels safe enough to trust them with her back. Lena winks and promises they will take good care of her. Tort happily adds that there will be good food too. Fry then looks at her team and says they should get moving. She wants to cross the poisonous mist passage today. As they enter the dungeon, Lena casually places her hands behind her head and says there are barely any traps or monsters around this area, so it is easy to move forward. Luna calmly reminds her that they still cannot afford to be careless. Lena frowns slightly and says she already knows that. Charlotte quietly raises her hand and activates her enhancement magic. Lena suddenly pauses in surprise and says her body feels lighter than usual. Fry smiles and says Charlotte is not only their guide, but also combat support. Charlotte shyly says it is no problem. Tort happily says her backpack feels lighter too. Lena laughs and tells her good for her. Meanwhile, Charlotte quietly realizes she is already running low on mana. Supporting everyone at her current level is harder than she expected. Unlike games, this world does not display exact numbers for mana or stamina. She has to rely on her own senses to control the flow of her magic. She feels relieved that she brought mana potions with her. Lena suddenly jumps onto a rock and says she will scout ahead. Fry turns toward Charlotte and tells her to stay close to Luna. Luna calmly adds that if something happens, Charlotte and Tort should run immediately. Lena climbs on top of one of the tall rocks inside the dungeon and raises her hand. Monster spotted. A goblin. Frey's eyes sharpen instantly. She got it. She rushes forward and cuts down the goblin in a single strike. Charlotte watches in shock and blurts out that Frey defeated it in one blow. But another goblin suddenly lunges from behind. Lena immediately shouts for Frey to watch out. Frey easily cuts down the next goblins that rush toward her, swinging her sword so quickly Charlotte can barely follow the movement. Charlotte stares in amazement and says Frey is so strong. Luna calls out that she cannot keep covering for Frey forever. Lena says she wants to do something too. More goblins slowly emerge from the darkness deeper inside the dungeon. Charlotte says it looks like it is Lena's turn now. Lena grins while spinning the twin daggers in her hands, their silver blades glinting faintly in the darkness. She confidently declares that she will defeat them one after another and refuses to lose to Frey. Frey laughs and shouts that is the spirit. Luna then says she will join them too. She tells Charlotte and Tort to stay behind her before raising her staff. Breath of ice at absolute zero. Change form for my sake and strike the enemy. Magic circles spread around the tip of her staff before several icy arrows shoot forward and pierce the goblins. Charlotte stares in admiration and says all three of them are incredibly strong. Tort proudly cheers for the group. Charlotte notices small scratches on Frey and Lena's arms and quietly casts regeneration on them. The wounds begin healing almost immediately. Lena looks back at her and thanks her excitedly. Charlotte smiles softly and says she is glad she could help. Tort says they are making great progress. Lena nods and says that means, but Frey finishes the sentence for her. Yeah, now comes the hardest part of Ilongo's paradise. The poisonous mist corridor. Frey shakes her head and says she already checked the area earlier and found nothing suspicious. But Charlotte suddenly murmurs that she will be back in a minute before darting toward the dungeon wall, so abruptly that Lena blinks and quickly calls after her, asking what she means and telling her to wait. Ignoring the confused voices behind her, Charlotte presses her hand against the cold stone wall, her crimson eyes glittering with excitement as she whispers that it is here. Frey says with a doubtful look and tells her she already inspected that wall before. There is nothing there. Charlotte shakes her head lightly and says that kind of thing cannot be figured out just by staring at it. If someone keeps touching this wall for 5 minutes, a hidden passage will reveal itself. The others freeze before their shocked voices rise at once, asking what? Charlotte gives an awkward little smile, clearly embarrassed by how absurd it sounds, and explains that it is actually simple once someone knows the trick. Even in Ria's, nobody discovered it at first. Apparently, a player only found the hidden path because they accidentally leaned against the wall while taking a break. Lena lets out a sigh and mutters that she feels ashamed of herself as a hatchie for missing something like that. Frey says that was a nasty trap to begin with. Luna folds her arms thoughtfully and comments that 5 whole minutes sounds excessive, but the hidden passage reveals itself. The girls stare at it with completely different expressions painted across their faces, ranging from suspicion to disbelief to outright shock. Lena points and blurts out that it really opened. Luna exhales and says they can finally continue deeper inside. Once they step into the hidden corridor, they discover it is much wider than expected. The smooth path almost strangely comfortable compared to the cramped dungeon outside. Then Lena suddenly gasps, her eyes sparkling brighter than the crystals embedded in the walls, as she points at a treasure chest sitting proudly in the distance. Luna smiles faintly and says that is a pretty good start. Treasure chests were also a system implemented in Ria's. There are 2 kinds: one-time initial treasure chests and regular treasure chests that respawn after a certain period. The initial ones usually contain valuable equipment or rare items. Charlotte looks at the chest and figures it probably looks like a regular chest, but if nobody has conquered Ilongo's paradise yet, then the first clear treasure chest should still exist somewhere inside too. Lena immediately spins toward Frey and impatiently tells her to hurry up and open it already. Frey walks over and lifts the lid, and the instant the chest creaks open, a soft golden light spills from within. Luna widens her eyes in surprise and says the chest is glowing. Lena nearly bounces on her feet as she declares that means it contains a rare item. Inside, they find a dagger, several coins, a recovery potion, and one strange object none of them recognize. Fry asks what exactly it is supposed to be. Tort guesses it might be some ancient relic. Charlotte narrows her eyes thoughtfully, surprised because even she has never seen that item before. She should know almost every item from Ria's thanks to her previous life. Yet this one is completely unfamiliar. Tort says she will manage all the shared items except the weapons. Fry nods and says she would like Lena to use the dagger since she specializes in them, but asks Charlotte if she is all right with that. Naturally, they will divide the remaining rewards with her afterward. Charlotte looks mildly surprised and asks if she gets a share too. Lena grins and tells her of course she does, because she is one of them now. Fry agrees without hesitation and says if Charlotte ever wants anything, she should just say so openly. Luna gives her a gentle smile and quietly tells her not to hold back. Charlotte thanks them softly, warmth flickering through her chest. Fry then asks Lena if she can use that dagger to help clear the dungeon. Lena nods and unsheathes it, revealing a crimson blade glowing faintly with heat. It is a fire attribute weapon. Frey's eyes widen instantly as she blurts out that attribute weapons are incredibly rare. Charlotte thinks that in Ria's, an iron dagger with a fire attribute honestly was not considered that extraordinary. Lena's original dagger of inner light was far superior. Still, Charlotte keeps that thought to herself. There is no point ruining everyone's excitement, especially because fire weapons are extremely effective against earth monsters. But if that is true, she wonders why the treasure chest glowed earlier. Lena beams brightly and says she wants to scout ahead again immediately because she cannot wait to test the weapon out. Fry casually raises one hand and says she is counting on her. Soon afterward, they enter the fourth layer of Alongoa's stage, where the atmosphere shifts. Luna groans first, complaining that she is exhausted. Tort nods in agreement and says her legs are about to give up from all the walking. Charlotte quietly casts healing magic on both of them. The exhaustion melts instantly. Tort happily declares she feels refreshed again, while Luna thanks Charlotte with visible relief. Charlotte smiles and says she's glad to hear that, secretly thinking she may or may not have cast heal on her own aching feet too. Fry glances back at them and says it looks like break time is over, so they should get moving again. But before anyone can continue, Charlotte suddenly stiffens. Her expression changes so abruptly that everyone stops. She stares at the massive gate ahead and says this gate is. Then panic flashes across her face. She warns them not to open it recklessly. They are supposed to knock first. Fry grimaces awkwardly and apologizes, saying it might be too late for that. A second later, the giant gate bursts open and a huge monster comes flying out. Charlotte's eyes widen instantly as recognition strikes. A ghost. A monster that completely nullifies physical attacks. Only magic or elemental weapons can damage it. She calls out to Fry while casting body enhancement and regeneration magic on her at the same time. Fry grits her teeth and snaps that since this happened because of her mistake, she will finish it immediately. She charges forward and swings her sword directly at the monster, but the blade passes straight through like smoke. Fry stares in disbelief. Luna shouts that Frey's attacks are not working at all, and meanwhile she is being attacked one-sidedly. Lena grits her teeth and says they cannot continue like this. Charlotte quickly heals Fry again while forcing herself to stay calm. She orders Fry to fall back for now, tells Lena to use the fire dagger to intercept the ghost, and instructs Luna to support them with magic attacks. Lena reacts instantly, leaping forward with the blazing dagger, while Luna raises her staff and fires several fireballs at the monster. Luna suddenly realizes that magic really does work against it. Her eyes sharpen as mana swirls violently around her. She raises her staff high and chants for 1,000 icy blades to gather at her command and annihilate her enemies. Absolute Zero, Blizzard. The freezing storm erupts through the hallway in a dazzling explosion of ice and magic, swallowing the ghost whole before obliterating it instantly. Charlotte stares with sparkling eyes and blurts out that it is amazing. Fry awkwardly scratches her cheek and quietly asks what exactly she is supposed to do in situations like that. Charlotte gives her an apologetic smile and says these monsters are simply a terrible matchup for ordinary swords. Physical attacks only work if the weapon carries elemental attributes. Tort lets out a relieved breath and says she genuinely thought they were doomed for a moment. Meanwhile, the twin sisters finish the battle with ease. Lena practically launches herself at Luna afterward, excitedly high-fiving her while Luna gracefully thanks her for the support without even losing composure. Fry lowers her head slightly, embarrassed, and admits she could not contribute anything. Tort says honestly, she thought they were all finished back there. But both sisters immediately turn toward Charlotte and tell her that if she had not warned them, things could have become disastrous. They might have exhausted themselves without ever figuring out how to damage the enemy properly. Fry clenches her fist before admitting they are right. Her reckless behavior endangered everyone, and she apologizes sincerely. Then she faces Charlotte directly and thanks her from the bottom of her heart for the guidance. Charlotte instantly grows flustered and hurriedly says it was nothing. She even tries brushing it off by insisting Lena is more than capable of defeating monsters like that anyway. Lena laughs softly, taps Charlotte on the shoulder, and thanks her again with a bright smile. Luna's expression turns serious as she reminds everyone that this is an unfamiliar dungeon. A single careless moment could cost someone their life. Fry quietly agrees and says real combat is not a game. Once someone dies, regret becomes meaningless. Charlotte falls silent. Those words hit her harder than expected. Slowly, reality settles heavily into her chest. This world is not Ria's anymore. These are not disposable game characters. If someone dies here, they are gone forever. What she sees as strategy guides and hidden mechanics are life-saving knowledge for everyone else. She lowers her gaze and murmurs that if that is the case, then she should have explained everything properly beforehand as their guide, and apologizes again. Fry immediately shakes her head and says the responsibility is hers for acting without caution. She promises not to repeat the mistake. Lena suddenly smiles awkwardly and tells him, "Come on, everyone, they have made it this far. That is enough apologies." She then asks Charlotte if there are any more traps ahead. Charlotte answers that there should not be. The mansion ahead is protected by a barrier Ilongoa created before his death, so monsters cannot enter it. Fry nods and says it is great. That means they can safely stay there overnight. Charlotte smiles and agrees, saying it should be safe for them to get rest. Soon they finally enter the mansion itself. The enormous halls are eerily empty, yet everything gleams. Fry slowly looks around and asks if they are sure nobody lives there anymore. Tort points out everything is sparkling clean. Luna glances around and says there are no signs of people though. Suddenly, the sound of Lena's stomach rumbling cuts through the air. She giggles a little embarrassed and says it seems like that battle really worked up her appetite. Her sister Luna smiles shyly as well and admits it happened to her too, since they have been walking all day. Fry glances toward one of the doors and says the dining hall must be there. He then asks Tort if she could prepare them a light meal. Charlotte tells Tort she will help her, but Tort quickly refuses, saying Charlotte already supported everyone enough during battle and deserves to rest. Besides, she wants to repay her properly for the healing earlier. Charlotte smiles warmly and thanks her, saying she is already looking forward to the food. Fry then suggests they spend some time exploring the nearby rooms while waiting. Lena comments that keeping the mansion in such perfect condition, even after death, proves Ilongoa really was an incredible sage. Fry nods and quietly says hopefully they will finally find that thing there. Charlotte curiously asks why they wanted to conquer this dungeon in the first place. Frey's expression turns serious as she answers that they came searching for the legendary herb hidden somewhere within the mansion. Charlotte quietly repeats the words legendary herb, her crimson eyes blinking in confusion as the pieces slowly connect inside her head. What Fry and the others are searching for must be drops of paradise. In Ria's, the item description referred to it as a legendary herb capable of creating miraculous medicine. Luna tells her that only fragmented travel records remain now, scattered through ancient documents and incomplete reports. Lena adds that according to the rumors, anyone who conquers Alongoa's paradise can obtain any herb they desire. That alone was enough reason for them to travel all the way there. Charlotte falls silent for a moment, thinking carefully, before hesitantly suggesting that perhaps the herb might be in the garden behind the mansion. The moment those words leave her mouth, the entire group freezes. Then all of them ask what. Fry steps closer, her expression a mix of desperation and doubt as she asks if a place like that really exists. Luna immediately follows after her, saying that if it does, then they may truly be able to find the legendary herb after all. Charlotte lowers her gaze slightly and admits she does not know every detail, but if her memory is correct, obtaining that herb should complete the dungeon raid itself. Frey's face brightens so quickly it almost catches Charlotte off guard. Excitement floods back into her eyes as she says then they should hurry to the herb garden right away. But the moment she says it, a loud growl rumbles through the room. Lena apologizes and asks if maybe they can eat first. Charlotte lets out a small laugh and assures her the herb garden is not going anywhere. Fry exhales through her nose before reluctantly nodding in agreement. That is true. They should head back to Tort first. By the time they return to the dining hall, the warm smell of melted cheese and baked bread already fills the mansion. Tort greets them with a gentle smile and announces that the fondue is ready. The twins' eyes practically sparkle at the sight of the food. Lena declares it looks amazing and admits she is starving. Tort laughs softly and tells them to eat while it is still hot. Before touching the food, everyone thanks her for the meal together. Luna takes the first bite, and the moment the warm cheese melts across her tongue, her eyes widen slightly in surprise. The flavor is rich, creamy, and comforting enough to melt away the exhaustion lingering in her body. Fry says without hesitation that Tort's cooking might genuinely be the best in the world. Tort looks flustered and tells them to eat while it's hot. Lena exclaims the cheese is so melty, it's delicious. Luna immediately points at both her and Fry with narrowed eyes, saying they have only been taking the meat, haven't they? They should make sure to eat vegetables too. After the meal, the conversation returns to the herb. Fry excitedly tells Tort they finally discovered where the legendary herb may be located, explaining there is a hidden herb garden behind the mansion. Charlotte quietly adds that there is a very high possibility the herb they need is there. Tort slowly closes her eyes, relief washing over her face. She says that is wonderful news. Then she turns toward Charlotte and asks her to guide them to the herb garden. Charlotte nods without hesitation. Later, the moment they step into the garden, everyone falls silent. Luna stops walking entirely, her mouth parting slightly as she stares across the garden. Lena slowly looks around the enormous space before confirming that this truly must be Alongoa's herb garden. Charlotte's voice softens unconsciously as she gazes across the glowing plants swaying gently in the wind. It feels beautiful enough to belong inside a fairy tale. Every herb there radiates absurdly high-quality mana. Fry looks more energized than she is all day and confidently tells Tort they are definitely succeeding this time. Tort closes her eyes tightly, relief across her face as she whispers that they should finally be able to save her little sister. Fry then glances around again before noticing a problem. There are far more herbs than expected. She asks how they are even supposed to identify the legendary one among all of these plants. Charlotte carefully admits that the old documents never described the herb properly. They do not know its appearance or even its exact effects. Quietly, she thinks about Tort's sister. Is her condition really so severe that they would risk everything for this? Fry suggests gathering every unfamiliar herb first and sorting them out later. But the idea immediately sounds exhausting considering the sheer amount covering the garden. Charlotte remains silent for a moment. She reminds herself that she is only acting as a temporary guide. Revealing too much knowledge about Ria's is dangerous. But suddenly Tort's trembling voice cuts through the air as she cries out that there is no time left. The atmosphere changes instantly. The desperation in those words settles heavily over everyone. Charlotte straightens slightly. Everyone here trusts her now. Fry, Luna, Lena. Tort. Despite only meeting recently, they believe in her completely. That trust presses against her chest with unexpected weight. She cannot hesitate anymore. She remembers it clearly now. In the game, drops of paradise grew in a flower bed near the center of the garden. She remembers the exact pale blue petals. She has to help Tort's sister. Fry sighs in frustration and says standing around guessing will not solve anything. They should just collect every strange herb they can find. But before anyone moves, Luna suddenly notices something strange. Charlotte is gone. The others blink and immediately begin looking around, only for Charlotte's voice to suddenly echo across the garden. I found it. Everyone whips around instantly. A short distance away, Charlotte stands near a flower bed, carefully holding a glowing pale blue herb in both hands, as if it were fragile glass. She says softly that this is it, drops of paradise. Tort freezes completely. Her eyes slowly fill with tears as she stares at the herb and asks in a shaking voice if it is really true. Charlotte gives her a small but steady smile and says yes. She found it growing right there in a flower bed. Luna suddenly throws both hands into the air and cheers loudly that they actually did it. Coming all this way was worth it after all. Fry turns toward Charlotte with narrowed eyes full of curiosity and asks how exactly she managed to locate it so quickly. But instead of pressing for answers, she simply steps closer and gently takes Charlotte's hands, thanking her sincerely. Tort quickly follows, looking overwhelmed with gratitude. Charlotte grows embarrassed by the attention and says it was nothing. They all helped each other when it mattered. Luna smiles warmly and says Charlotte has been helping them non-stop since they met. Lena nods enthusiastically and says they seriously owe her a huge reward after this. Drops of Paradise is an herb that only grows within a Longoa's paradise. It can be used to craft powerful healing medicine and even grant special effects to equipment. Charlotte quietly thinks that with Paradise Tears, most illnesses and injuries should become treatable. Hopefully, Tort's little sister can finally recover. While everyone celebrates, Charlotte crouches near the flower bed and quietly begins gathering more materials before leaving. Drops of Paradise, rainbow herb, fire flower, water flower, earth flower, wind flower. Just as expected from Longoa's legendary garden. Every rare material imaginable exists there. But the thing she truly needs most is, her thoughts abruptly stop midway. Meanwhile, Luna lets out a sigh and asks Lena if they have collected enough already. Lena grins and says she thinks so, while Tort happily comments that thankfully the garden is overflowing with herbs. Fry glances toward Charlotte and notices her crouched strangely near the ground. Lena calls out curiously, asking what she is doing now. Charlotte turns back toward them with a completely serious expression and announces that she is collecting soil. Silence. Everyone stares blankly at her. Lena slowly asks if it is supposed to be some kind of dungeon clearing souvenir. Charlotte immediately shakes her head and tells them to think about it properly. Soil capable of growing herbs this high quality is valuable. Another silence follows. Then realization slowly spreads across their faces one by one. Rare herbs would probably grow much better in that soil. Soon everyone begins enthusiastically gathering dirt alongside the herbs. Extra sacks appear, along with an oversized shovel Fry somehow produces without explanation. Fry digs through the earth, tossing piles of soil around with absurd strength. Charlotte watches quietly and thinks that as expected of the hero, her physical strength is completely monstrous. While Fry continues digging like a human excavator, Tort gently tugs on Charlotte's sleeve. Charlotte turns toward her and sees uncertainty lingering in Tort's eyes as she softly asks whether Charlotte would come visit her hometown someday. The village of Keisai. Charlotte immediately recognizes the name. In Ria's, Keisai was a special quest-exclusive village inaccessible outside story events. But in this world, it exists as a real place anyone can visit freely. Charlotte smiles and says she would be happy to go. Tort blinks in surprise before relief softens her expression, and she quietly thanks her. Once they finally gather enough herbs and soil, Lena says this should be enough. Luna glances toward the sky and notices the sunset beginning to color the horizon orange. Fry looks around at everyone and decides they should spend the night in the mansion before returning to town tomorrow morning. Tort brightens and announces that to celebrate clearing the dungeon, she will prepare a special dinner tonight and put her entire heart into it. The twins cheer instantly without a shred of shame. Later that evening, once the table is completely covered with food, Fry sits proudly at the head and clears her throat dramatically. She begins announcing that to celebrate the completion of Alongo's paradise and the successful harvest of drops of paradise, only for Lena to cut her off halfway and complain that formal speeches are boring and they should just start eating already. Luna instantly says her sister's name in warning, but Fry only bursts into laughter before admitting she is probably right. There is no need for stiff formalities anymore. She looks around the table warmly and says everyone truly did well making it this far together. Lena grins brightly and says she is just glad nobody gave up halfway through. Luna smiles softly and adds that they were also blessed with a very fortunate encounter. Tort suddenly rises slightly from her seat, her voice bright with emotion, as she says she is truly glad Sharon agreed to become their guide. Charlotte feels heat creep into her cheeks and quietly admits hearing that makes her really happy. Glasses rise together around the table, a toast to their meeting and to their future adventures. Later, they all change into their night suits and sit together on the bed. Charlotte says happily that Tort's special menu today was very delicious. Tort smiles softly and says she is glad it suited everyone's taste. Nearby, Frey's long hair falls loosely over her shoulders, and before she can stop them, the girls start trying to untangle it with their fingers. Fry immediately tells them not to play with her hair. Lena leans closer anyway and says she is making it even more tangled. Luna smugly says that except for handling weapons, there is nothing she would lose to Fry at. Tort takes out a ribbon and asks if they should tie her hair with this instead. Charlotte smiles and says Fry would look good with it too. Fry lets out a quiet sigh and mutters that even Sharon is joining in now. Luna then glances around the large mansion room and says that even so, in a mansion this big, there is really no need for all of them to sleep in the same room. Charlotte thinks that is true. Since there were not enough beds, they even had to use Tort's strong men's skill to carry extra ones from the other rooms. Still, Charlotte says it is easier to deal with anything unexpected if they stay together. Fry nods and replies that she is right. Even with Sharon's knowledge, it is still better to stay cautious in a dungeon they only just cleared. Lena suddenly blinks innocently and admits she mostly wanted to have a slumber party. Then she jumps dramatically onto the bed. Luna immediately says that is probably Lena's real goal. Soft laughter echoes in the room, and Charlotte quietly feels warmth bloom in her chest. Even before her engagement was broken off, she used to spend time with noble ladies. But she was always busy studying to become queen. There was never time to simply laugh together like this. Thinking about it now, she realizes she had always been carrying a quiet loneliness somewhere inside her. A day where she could laugh this freely with others. She never imagined she would ever have one. Suddenly, a pillow smacks directly into her. Charlotte quickly covers her mouth in surprise. Luna calls out that if she keeps spacing out like that, she will become the perfect target for Lena's deadly pillow attacks. Fry says even Charlotte must be tired after guiding them through the dungeon all day. Moderation is important. Charlotte replies with mild frustration that yes, that is exactly what she thinks too. Then she picks up a pillow and announces that she will now show them the art of a healer's pillow throw. Lena grabs her own pillow and stands ready with a smug expression, saying she is prepared. Fry stares at them and asks if healers really have pillow throwing skills too. Tort says that sounds amazing. Soon Charlotte and Lena begin fighting each other with pillows. Later that night, the lights are turned off. Charlotte quietly looks around at everyone sleeping peacefully beside her. It had been a very eventful day. Thinking back on it now, when she was little, she once stayed up late with her brothers without the adults noticing. In the end, their father caught them, and they were all scolded together. And then there was the promise she made to her mother. Maybe she should write a letter home soon. Charlotte starts moving in her cat robe. All right then. Fry and the others came to Alongo's paradise to gather herbs, and inside the mansion itself, monsters do not appear because it is essentially a safe zone. But that does not change the fact that they are still inside a dungeon, which means at the deepest part of this place, there is still the boss waiting, Ilongo's Phantom, the boss monster at the end of Ilongo's Paradise. It is a troublesome enemy with a wide variety of attacks, but if she knows the proper countermeasures, defeating it alone is possible. Even so, at her current level, it would still be difficult. But if she uses the right strategy, she should still have a chance. Since she already came all the way here, she does not know when she will ever return to conquer this dungeon again. Leaving without challenging the boss would feel wasteful. Quiet determination settles into her eyes. First, preparation. Charlotte activates her bracelet of adventure, and soft magical light flickers around her hands as she begins creating potions while attempting to craft a skill reset potion. Skill Reset Potion is an item that allows already allocated skill points to be reset to the total value, letting them be reassigned freely. The production difficulty is not that high, but it requires a large number of materials. Charlotte had to buy a considerable amount of puru jelly just for this. In the game, once the required materials were gathered, the crafting option would appear automatically. But in reality, it is not that simple. Still, she remembers the process clearly, so she decides to try. First, she sets the Ilongoa brewing pot over the phoenicic kindling, prepares it carefully, and adds the lowest rarity items into the pot first. Then she stirs it using Lydia's mixing rod. She pours in the first 100 pieces of puru jelly. How long is she supposed to mix this? The potion begins to glow so brightly that she has to narrow one eye, wondering if this is the signal to add the next ingredient. Carefully, she adds the magic stone next, and it seems to react properly. Then comes magic grass, rainbow herb, and finally drops of paradise. A thick cloud of smoke bursts out from the pot. Charlotte quickly covers her nose, panicking slightly and thinking there is no way she failed. But when the smoke clears, the materials have already fused inside the pot. She picks it up in surprise and exclaims that she did it. The skill reset potion is complete, though it looks anything but pleasant. Still, she knows she cannot challenge the boss without it. So she opens it and drinks it in one go. The moment she does, an unbearably bitter taste floods her mouth, and she almost gags. It is horribly bitter. She checks her status screen as it appears before her and confirms the reset. Then she reallocates her points, putting the minimum into support skills and focusing mainly on attack skills. Everything is ready now. It is finally time. Ilongoa's ghost subjugation begins. She stands before Ilongoa's Phantom, the ghost of Ilongoa. It is said to have become a monster after death due to regrets over a lifetime of obsessive research. It definitely has an imposing presence, tricky attacks with high up and high firepower. The power of the paradise that has taken down many players in Rias. There are 2 points for her to win this battle at level 12 with low attack power. First, block or dodge all of the enemy attacks. Second, be prepared for a long battle and keep attacking relentlessly. It is a tour de force even for her. No matter how she looks at this wouldn't be an easy fight, and she already knows this is not a game. If she takes a single direct hit from the enemy, she wouldn't be able to continue anymore. Her life will be over. If she falters here, the name of Sharon, the adventurer, will be disgraced. She activates body strengthening and the protection of the goddess, then immediately lunges forward without a moment's delay. When she closes in to within 5 meters, she raises her hand and activates Holy Heal. Light bursts from her palm and strikes the phantom directly, forcing it to stagger back. It works. Holy Heal is effective against undead monsters, dealing damage instead of restoring health, the opposite of normal healing magic. A rare but essential skill for support classes. The bitter potion now feels worth it. The phantom's white eyes lock onto her with hostility. Charlotte meets its gaze without flinching, already sensing the next attack coming. The monster rises into the air, looming over her, before unleashing a burst of light. Black flames spread across the ground in its wake. Charlotte barely manages to dodge. She thinks it's a path of flame that stays burning for 5 minutes. He uses this magical attack once every minute. She has to dodge the skill-based attacks and regular attacks in between. That being said, if she runs around without a plan, she will be trapped by the flames. This battle has just begun. She is going to win no matter what. She has to be smart about this. After each attack, the enemy becomes immobile for a few seconds. Charlotte immediately uses that opening to strike. She activates Holy Heal once again. Ilongo's attacks are long-range magic, and with body strengthening active, most of them can still be avoided. But she can already feel it starting to weaken. A sudden attack schemes far too close. Charlotte barely manages to dodge it, her eyes widening in shock as the spell tears past her. For a moment, she freezes in place, realizing just how close she came to being hit. Thanks to Goddess protection, she takes no damage, but there is no time to breathe. She has to recast her skills immediately. The next flame path is already forming. Charlotte deliberately shifts her position, guiding the attack so it lands in the same area as before, trying to secure a safe route. In one motion, she activates Holy Heal again and refreshes Goddess protection. She steadies herself again. If she can last another hour and win, that would already be fortunate. But the moment she regains balance, her expression changes. Her eyes widen in disbelief. He is already using it. The boss's major attack begins. Ilongo's big move consists of a barrage of attacks with completely random trajectories. Dodging every strike is very difficult, and enduring them directly is equally dangerous. Even so, as long as Goddess protection is maintained, Charlotte believes she can barely survive it. She prepares herself, focusing on balancing defense and movement as the attacks begin to rain down. The ghost suddenly slams its power downward and activates Instrument of Fury. A glowing circle appears as Charlotte immediately responds with Goddess protection. The pressure of the attack forces her back, the ground shaking. She manages to hold on. An explosion erupts nearby. Charlotte twists her body at the last moment and lands on her feet. She can do this. But another attack follows immediately. Charlotte sees it coming and activates Goddess protection again, but she is a second late and the attack lands. Pain shoots through her arm. She grits her teeth and quickly casts healing magic. Charlotte is still standing. It looks like the special attack ended. She made it for now. She thought she knew what she was getting into, but this hurts more than she thought it would. She uses Goddess protection and physical strength, and a circle appears in front of her. She needs to minimize the risk of being hit. Isn't there any way to shorten this battle? She thinks. She is not limited by the same constraints as she was in Rize. There must be a way to create an opening for her to make her move. Then her gaze suddenly locks onto his fingers. A bottle, a recovery potion. Her eyes widen in shock. If he drinks that now, there is no way she can finish this battle quickly. Everything she suffered through until now would become meaningless. She curses under her breath. If only she had an item to counter this situation. But all she has are raw materials for potion making. Then, her thoughts abruptly stop. She freezes. Wait. She thinks he cannot launch his special attack while he is holding that bottle. If she wants to change this predicament into an opportunity, it is now or never. Suddenly, she rushes forward and hits the bottle in his hand. It falls and shatters. He curses, but Charlotte says she is not done yet and jumps off the ground. For a moment, even she is surprised by the height she reaches. It is the true power of the cat robe. She has never jumped this high before, but this ability is promising, and this move should help tie the scales to beat him. Before she strikes, Charlotte thinks, this is it. She is betting everything on this attack. The item description says that the holy water she made in the holy capital of Zil can vanish or cleanse evil. In Rize, they could only use it to make potions, but in this world she might be able to use it to mount an attack. Without hesitation, she throws the potion at him, and the moment it makes contact, she realizes it is working. The enemy is being debuffed, its defense lowered. Charlotte's eyes sharpen. She can win this. She is back to the start of his attack pattern. She needs to continue attacking while keeping up the strength and recovery until she sees that action. As she repeats the cycle, it finally works. The enemy's HP drops. A magic sphere forms in her hand. and she channels everything into it before launching it forward with full force. It strikes the man directly, and in that instant the whole place brightens with light. She stands there, still barely able to conceal the shock and joy on her face. She did it. She beat the ghost of Ilongo. She looks at her bracelet, checking that she went 5 levels all at once. And then she crouches down in front of the dropped items. They are the Jewel of Lament, Medical Herbs, and the Staff of Bloom. She picks up the staff. The effect increases recovery skill effectiveness and boosts holy attribute power by 10%. Since increasing holy attribute value directly raises healing output, it is an excellent item for her as a healer. She exhales softly, thinking it is time to say goodbye to this boss drop set. It is a little sad, but strengthening her equipment is necessary. And this is not all the reward she has gained. She immediately heads into the hidden room unlocked after defeating Ilongo's phantom, where a one-time initial treasure chest awaits. As she enters, her gaze sweeps across the room filled with scattered books, open pages, and notes written in haste, as if someone had been desperately searching for answers until the very end. Charlotte pauses, thinking it must have been painful to leave this world without finishing one's research. Even though she has defeated him, she can faintly understand the regret that may have turned him into a phantom. Then her attention shifts to the treasure chest. This is it, the one-time treasure chest. She opens it and finds the rope of compassion, the boots of compassion, and the hair ornament of compassion. A full set. The Compassion series grants a bonus to healing skills. Charlotte's eyes brighten as she looks at it. What an incredible set. Exactly what one would expect from a one-time chest reward. She equips the robe, and it actually fits her well. Her healing effectiveness increases by 30%, along with improved defense and reduced mana consumption. It feels like she can finally breathe easier as a healer. There are also other useful magical tools inside, but she hesitates for a moment. It feels a little wrong to take items left behind by someone who is gone, but these are not common things. They are valuable, rare resources. If she ever needs them, she can always return. And besides, she might be able to reunite with the beautiful herb garden scenery again. Looking back, it really was a fruitful boss fight. Now she only needs to return to bed without waking the others. But then she suddenly stops. Wait, she still needs to reset her skills. Charlotte lets out a small sigh. Being a healer is not simple at all. The next morning, she wakes early and finds herself already standing in the herb garden. She stretches her arms slightly and murmurs that it is a beautiful day. She had woken up still feeling the excitement from the boss fight, and the herb garden looks even more beautiful under the soft morning light. Without wasting time, she picks up a shovel, her eyes shining. All right then, Drops of Paradise cultivation plan begins. She begins transferring soil from the herb garden into a convenient planter, so she can cultivate Drops of Paradise more efficiently. With the Bracelet of Adventure, storage will not be an issue, allowing her to carry everything easily. Since she is already at it, she decides to transplant other herbs as well. Rainbow herb is one, and she would like to plant one more type alongside it, though she is still deciding which. Then she pauses. Someone is singing. The sound is faint at first, like drifting wind through ice. The ice that fell from the sky, yearning for that land. Charlotte slowly looks down at the glowing plants. The melody is the theme of Ria's itself. One of the herbs is singing. Angel voice, a rare item that produces its own melody, both beautiful and strangely surreal. Its sound and appearance blend together like something alive. It can also be used as a material for item crafting, so she decides it will be included. She finishes watering the plants and steps back, satisfied. She hopes they grow well. Then her attention shifts toward the pond. In the game, there was supposed to be a flower that blooms underwater, which means beneath this surface lies an unseen fantasy landscape. The morning sun reflects off the water, bubbles rising gently as faint shapes shimmer beneath the surface, as if something is waiting down there. Charlotte slowly clasps her fingers together, her gaze bright and focused. She wants to see it. She already has a few useful items from Ilongo's hidden room, so she should be able to handle whatever is down there. She looks at the edge of the pond, no choice but to jump into the unknown underwater world. She moves deeper into the water, and the water begins to glow with soft rainbow colors all around her. The water is also deeper than she thought, and she wonders how long she can hold her breath. But then she sees the reason for the glowing colors, a fish swimming slowly through the water. And in that same moment she gulps in surprise and accidentally breathes in water. Panic hits her instantly, and she quickly turns and swims upward, pushing hard until she breaks the surface and comes out coughing and gasping for air, holding herself up while her heart keeps pounding because she truly thought she was going to die for a second. But even then her mind is stuck on what she just saw, because she has never seen a fish like that before, and she wonders if that glow was mana around it, since it looked so beautiful and strange at the same time. Then she looks down at herself and sees her new robe is already dirty and wet and smudged, and she herself is a mess. And that is when she suddenly remembers the pure white ring she got from Malongoa's hidden room, trying to recall how it works before it comes back to her. She needs to throw it above her head and jump through it when it expands. She quickly uses it, and the ring enlarges, and she jumps through it. And in an instant all the dirt is gone, her clothes are dry again, and even her hair is clean, and she realizes it is extremely useful even for traveling or camping. But she also thinks she should be careful not to use it where people can see. But before she can relax, her face goes pale when she sees the sisters running toward her, and she quickly greets them with a good morning. But Lena immediately asks if she is okay, and Luna says she saw her jump into the pond from the mansion window, both of them staring at her in shock, and Charlotte stiffens because they notice she is not wet at all. So she quickly forces a smile and says no, it must be a mistake. She is fine, nothing happened. But Lena tilts her head and says she would not just jump into a pond for no reason. And Luna agrees and says that must just be her strange charm, which makes Charlotte pause and ask if they really see her that way. But before she can recover, Luna notices her equipment and asks what it is. And Lena also says it looks different from yesterday. And Charlotte freezes again, struggling for words. Then quickly says she woke up early because she was bored and just explored and happened to find it by accident, which makes both of them more interested. And Luna says it looks like a rare item. And Lena adds that since the dungeon has not been cleared for a long time, there might still be other rare items inside to explore later. But then Luna suddenly remembers breakfast and says they were supposed to call her, but forgot because of everything. And Charlotte quickly apologizes and says they should go to the dining hall since Tort and Fry are probably waiting. At the table, Fry listens with an amused look, while Tort watches Charlotte calmly and says she's glad it was only a misunderstanding. And Charlotte gives a small nervous smile, and Fry then asks about the rare equipment again, clearly curious, while Luna suggests they should explore more before leaving the village since it might help them find useful items. But Charlotte suddenly asks if items found during exploration should be reported, and Fry says no, personal finds can be kept, while group items are shared, and Lena laughs and says that means this equipment belongs to Charlotte, and Fry agrees it suits her, and Tort says it looks good on her too, making Charlotte thank them shyly. Later, Lena gets excited and says she did not know searching drawers and rooms could be so fun, while Luna tells her not to do that outside. And Lena pretends she did not do anything wrong, and Luna says she only found a potion when she explored. So maybe they expected too much, but Fry says it is fine because they already got what they needed, and Tort agrees happily. After that, they return to the city and reach the guild, where Fry immediately comes to Charlotte and holds her hand gently to her chest, saying she is so glad she is safe, and Charlotte thanks her for worrying. But then Fry proudly says that thanks to Sharon, they were able to fully clear the dungeon, and she is a reliable adventurer. And then she adds that she will recommend her for a rank upgrade, which makes Charlotte pause because it feels like her future is being decided too quickly without her, even though she does not dislike it. Fry then asks if she can borrow the second floor, and Charlotte agrees, while Fry continues with item distribution, saying the best item, the dagger, will go to Lena, and the rest are mostly normal drops. And Luna says they are not very special, and Lena asks if Charlotte wants anything, but Charlotte says her current equipment is enough. So Fry decides the guild will handle the rest. Charlotte thinks the glowing chest must have contained the only truly rare item, while everything else was normal. And her eyes return to the unknown fragment again, and she finally asks if she can have it. And Lena asks if she is sure since even they do not know what it is, and Luna says the same. But Charlotte says that is exactly why she wants it, and Fry agrees while Luna still thinks it is not enough reward. But Charlotte insists she is satisfied, and Fry says they will still add extra reward money along with it. and Charlotte thanks them. Later, Lena sees the counter is crowded and tells Charlotte and Tort to wait, and Fry goes ahead to handle the exchange, and Tort then hands Charlotte the fragment as promised, and Charlotte takes it carefully, thanking her, and the moment she holds it, a static screen suddenly appears in front of her vision and she freezes. The unique glass that reigns at the top of support roles, the Saintess, it is said that her prayers can heal any wound and create an invincible sanctuary. Even in Ria's, which has over 120,000 players, the map that should have been fully discovered by the scientist class still had unexplored gaps. To think she might actually get a clue like this. And if she really obtains the highest rank support unique class, she could completely outshine that rude prince. She snaps out of her thoughts when Tort calls out to her and asks what is wrong. She stammers and says nothing. She was just reflecting on the dungeon raid and got a little sentimental. Tort smiles and says she must really like that relief, adding that she is glad they found something that makes her happy. Treasure chests often contain unfamiliar items, so sometimes they are useful and sometimes not. Charlotte asks what kind of unfamiliar items she means. Tort explains that, for example, there are mysteriously colored orbs, powdered ores, and even strange materials that look like fangs. Charlotte thinks they all sound like useful items in Ria's. Her eyes gleam as she asks what happened to them. Tort says that even when she showed them to a blacksmith, he could not figure out their use, so she just had to dispose of them. Charlotte thinks it is such a waste. This world clearly does not have as much information as her previous one, but it cannot be helped. Just then, Lena and the others return. Lena announces that the purchase is complete and hands Charlotte her payment. Charlotte thanks them sincerely. Fry tells her thanks again for guiding them, and Tort says she wants Charlotte to stay with them until they return the herbs to her village. Fry hesitates slightly, while Luna looks worried and says that in Tort's hometown, outsiders are not always welcomed. Lena adds that since it is her first time, they might be too cautious to let her into the village. When Tort also falls silent, Charlotte turns to her and says it was a real pleasure to be invited. She is truly honored and happy, and she would love to visit someday, but if it becomes a burden, she will not insist. Tort lowers her head and says she knows it is a selfish request, but she still wants Charlotte to come to Kesti village with her. She explains that she has a younger sister named Tart, who was born with a weak body and has been bedridden for most of her life. To help her feel better, she teamed up with Fry and the others to search for information on medicines and rare herbs, but they could not find a proper cure. Her sister's condition kept getting worse, and then they heard about the legendary herb. Luna adds that this is why they decided to go to Alongoa's paradise to collect it. Charlotte says that it just so happened she was assigned as their guide. Tort says Charlotte knows a lot of things, so she thought if she could take a look at her sister's condition, she might be able to help in some way. Charlotte looks at her with a sad expression, but then her eyes brighten and she says she is not a doctor, so she cannot promise a cure, but she will help in any way she can. Tort's eyes fill with tears and she quickly wipes them, thanking her sincerely. Charlotte smiles and says after all, she got to eat many delicious meals in the dungeon. Fry says it is settled then, and she will accompany them to the village. Luna tells her to get ready, as they will meet at the south gate in 3 hours. Charlotte agrees and parts with them there. She thinks she should first check out of the inn and restock her items, and then remembers the jewel of lament that dropped from the Alongoa's phantom, wondering if there was a request for it. She snaps out of her thoughts when Coco calls her name excitedly, and she and Kent come running over. Coco says she heard from Prem that Charlotte just returned, and Kent asks how the dungeon raid went. Coco quickly asks if there were many tough monsters, while Kent asks if there were lots of traps. Charlotte smiles nervously and says yes, there were not many open spaces, so escape routes were limited, and she would recommend leveling up well before attempting it. Kent says they need to get stronger too, but then Charlotte apologizes, saying that even though they formed a party, she had to leave quickly. She explains she will be traveling with Fry and the others for a while, so she will have to leave again. Coco and Kent both gasp and ask what she means. Kent then asks if that means she is joining the hero's party. Charlotte quickly says no, it is only for a short while, and once she achieves her goal, she will return. Coco smiles in relief, saying she thought she had become someone out of reach. Kent says they should go hunting together again when she returns. Charlotte replies that of course she will, though she does not have a fixed plan yet, and forming a permanent party might be difficult. Kent tells her not to worry, saying it is better to form a fixed party after getting to know each other well, and that an adventurer should value their own path. Coco looks at him and asks what is wrong with him, saying he is suddenly being sensible. He looks offended and says he has been thinking a lot too, since he ran away from his village against his parents' advice. Charlotte smiles and tells him he should protect Coco, since she came along to look after him. He becomes flustered and says no, but then quickly adds that she is not wrong. At that moment, Prim calls out to Charlotte and asks if she can speak with her for a moment. Charlotte waves goodbye and says she has to go, looking forward to working with them again. Prim tells her she will escort her to the reception room, as the guild master would like to meet her. Charlotte thinks that makes sense, especially since this is not just a normal report, and the hero has personally recommended her for a rank up. She wonders if this will take a while, and decides she can submit the Jewel of Lament afterward. Prim then asks if she has obtained the Jewel of Lament, and Charlotte replies yes. Prim says it is an item with a completely unknown origin, but then decides to leave that for later and takes her request form. She knocks on the door and announces Charlotte's arrival. Inside, a man greets her and introduces himself as Reuben, the guild master. Charlotte introduces herself as Sharon and greets him politely. He remarks that she is a new adventurer acting as a guide for the hero's party, and says he has heard about the general details of Alongo's paradise from Fry and the others. He mentions that he has urgent matters to attend to, so he will get the full report from Frey's party later, but he has heard she did an excellent job as a guide. Charlotte humbly says she is honored to have been recognized so highly. The guild master smiles and says she is quite a capable young woman. He glances toward Prim, who stands quietly behind him. Prim meets Charlotte's gaze. Prim explains that dungeon exploration is one of the most important duties of adventurers, and as a guild that supports them, they cannot neglect collecting dungeon information. The guild master leans forward, fingers interlaced, and adds that even experienced adventurers cannot easily uncover a dungeon's internal structure. His gaze sharpens as he asks how exactly she obtained information about Alongo's paradise. Charlotte considers that there are many ways to avoid answering, but it would not be wise to cause suspicion here. At the same time, being too vague might make them treat her as a convenient source of information in the future. She calmly says she will keep that to herself. Adventurers are not obligated to disclose information, are they? Prim agrees, but the guild master shifts the question. He looks directly at her and asks instead, who is she? His eyes lock onto her with sharp intensity. She smiles nervously and asks why he is asking who she is when she is only a novice adventurer. He replies calmly that procedurally it is not an issue, no matter who she truly is. The doors of adventure should remain open to everyone. Adventure itself is the embodiment of freedom, but at the same time, he is also the one responsible for managing the guild. If her extraordinary knowledge begins affecting other adventurers, then he cannot call himself a proper guild master if he fails to keep it under control. Charlotte cannot help but think he is impressive. He is extremely good at steering conversations. If she had not studied diplomacy during her training to become queen, she might actually have been swayed by him already. She softly explains that she has no intention of causing trouble for anyone. Most of the information she knows was heard secondhand from someone else. That person does not wish to reveal themselves and only hopes adventurers can have safer and more fulfilling journeys. She tells him that is all she can say and hopes he understands. The guild master closes his eyes briefly before saying, "All right, they will leave it at that for now." It is not like they are trying to accuse her of anything. And if both she and her source truly think that way, then perhaps their goals are not that different after all. Charlotte smiles lightly and says of course. He then admits seriously that it was a good answer. Then he changes the topic and says now, regarding the rank promotion Fry and the others recommended. He informs her that as of today, Sharon has been promoted to rank B. Charlotte's eyes widen instantly and she blurts out a jump from rank F. Prim explains that with Charlotte's level of knowledge, Even her information-gathering ability alone deserves a rank B evaluation. The guild master adds that considering her achievement in guiding the hero's party, if she is willing to share more information, then even a promotion to rank C as a special exception could be considered. Charlotte immediately realizes what he is trying to do. But honestly, the exchange does not benefit her much. There is no reason for her to rush toward rank C, and carelessly sharing information comes with too many risks. She apologetically says that unfortunately she does not have anything more useful to offer right now. She would rather build her accomplishments step by step and aim for an A-rank promotion on her own someday. The guild master smiles and says she truly is a crafty young lady. At that moment, Prim calls out to him and hands over a document. The guild master glances at it before looking back at Charlotte. He asks about the delivery request for the Jewel of Lament, the one requested by the cathedral's bishop. They have apparently received several inquiries asking whether it has been found yet. Charlotte raises her hand slightly and says she can deliver it herself. He looks surprised and asks where in the world she managed to find it. Charlotte says she will skip the details because she has other matters to deal with, but it was found in Alongoa's paradise. The guild master says that answer is enough and thanks her for cooperating. Since she seems busy, he offers to have the guild deliver it instead. Charlotte politely refuses and explains that she had been planning to visit the cathedral anyway to pray, since she is a healer. She would also like to speak with the bishop if possible, even if she is only low-ranked. The guild master nods approvingly and says she has a good attitude. He tells Prim to prepare a guild introduction letter for her. Then he tells Charlotte he will leave the rest to her. Charlotte assures him to leave it to her. Later, Charlotte stands in front of the Florida Grand Cathedral and looks up at it with awe. It is just as breathtaking as she remembers. Her attention drifts toward a group of girls nearby who are excitedly talking about wanting to catch a glimpse of someone. Charlotte wonders if some celebrity is visiting or something. One of the girls says that if she keeps coming here to pray every day, maybe she will get to meet them someday. Another excitedly wonders what kind of person they are. Then Charlotte freezes. The girls giggle and whisper about a hooded girl with cat ears, the Blessed Maiden. Charlotte immediately realizes the rumors have evolved into something ridiculous again. Apparently, the commotion from her class change still has not died down. Thankfully, she has new equipment now, so hopefully nobody will recognize her. Suddenly, the screen appears before her again. As the saintess recalled the site of its collapse, the saint quietly shed a tear. To you who inherited the memories of the Grand Cathedral, please guide this world toward peace. Charlotte quietly murmurs that it is a saintess class change quest. Judging from the wording, it would not be strange if there is some kind of clue hidden somewhere inside this cathedral. She wonders if maybe it would react if she approached it as a servant of the goddess Florida. She walks toward the statue of the goddess and stares up at it quietly, but after a moment she realizes that even now, she still cannot hear the goddess's voice. Since there is not much time before meeting the others, she decides she should just finish delivering the item. Just then, a priest steps beside her and asks if she came to pray again today. Charlotte looks up and immediately recognizes him as the priest from before. He smiles softly and says he is happy to see how devotedly she has continued visiting, and surely the goddess Florida must also be pleased. Charlotte watches him carefully. He does not seem like a bad person, but he is strangely difficult to read, which makes her uncomfortable around him. She quickly thanks him for the other day and awkwardly says she has some business to attend to, so she should excuse herself now. Then she practically runs away. A little later, she hands the guild's referral letter to one of the nuns and explains that she came to deliver something to the bishop. The nun says she will call someone to guide her, but suddenly the priest appears again with a soft smile and says that will not be necessary. Charlotte flinches internally, wondering if he somehow followed her. Then he calmly says the bishop is already aware of her arrival. Charlotte forces a smile, though it looks closer to fear. Of all people, why did it have to be him? He gently points out that standing around in the hallway is not appropriate and suggests moving somewhere more comfortable. As Charlotte quietly follows after him, She wonders why things always somehow end up like this. Once they settle down in a room, he formally introduces himself. He serves as the bishop of the Florida Grand Cathedral, and his name is Leroy. As a fellow healer, he sincerely thanks her for taking the time to come today. Charlotte introduces herself as Sharon, an adventurer whose class is healer. Leroy pauses for a moment after hearing that. Charlotte immediately notices and wonders what that pause was supposed to mean. She quickly asks if he would mind checking the delivered item first. He nods and tells her to proceed. Charlotte carefully places the material before him. He studies it closely before saying there is no mistake. This light truly belongs to the Jewel of Lament. He officially accepts the delivery. Charlotte watches his expression carefully and thinks he is giving her that strange look again. Since the class change quest seems connected to him somehow, she honestly wants to build a better relationship with the bishop, but staying around him too long feels dangerous in a completely different way. She quickly stands and says that in that case, she should take her leave now. But before she can escape, Leroy calmly asks, by the way, she is not wearing the cat robe today, is she? Charlotte freezes completely and stares at him in disbelief. Then she awkwardly explains that she leveled up, so she switched to equipment more suited for a healer. Leroy says honestly that when he first met her, he found it difficult to believe someone like her had truly received the goddess Florida's blessing. But now, there is no longer any doubt in his mind that she is a genuine healer. He also mentions hearing about the blessing phenomenon that occurred in the Chamber of Prayer and admits he would very much like to hear the details. Charlotte immediately grows nervous and says she appreciates the invitation, but she already has plans and will be leaving the city soon after this. Leroy quietly sighs and closes his eyes for a moment before saying he understands. In that case, he will not force her to stay. Instead, he says he looks forward to the day they meet again. Charlotte hesitates slightly before replying that if fate allows it, then perhaps they will. The moment she steps outside, she practically crumples from exhaustion. Leroy never acted hostile, but dealing with someone so unreadable is mentally exhausting. Still, she quickly slaps both cheeks lightly and tells herself to focus. She needs to prepare for departure as soon as possible. Then suddenly, the material she received from the hero's party begins shining brightly. A screen appears before her, though the words are blurry at first before slowly becoming clear. It is not only the saint who mourns the collapse. Listen to those troubled by the fading light of young hope and seek the answer they desire. Charlotte stares at the words, those troubled by the light of young hope. She is not entirely sure who that refers to. But since the quest reacted after she interacted closely with one specific person, then the condition has probably progressed somehow. The goddess statue itself showed no reaction, which means considering the timing, the most likely person involved is. Charlotte suddenly jerks in shock. It can only be Leroy. Of course, there is a tiny possibility it reacted to some random person she passed by, but for a unique class quest, it is hard to imagine someone completely insignificant being involved. Once she returns from Kesti village, she decides she will come back and investigate further. Meanwhile, far away, a woman quietly stands upon a balcony overlooking the shining city below. The shining cityscape, the smiles of the people. Such a dear sight, it is her treasure. She prays for goddess Florida to watch over the peace of this land. On the other hand, the hero's party waits for her near the south gate. Lena says maybe the adventurer rank negotiations are taking longer than expected. Luna wonders if they should have stopped by the guild after all, but Fry lets out a small sigh and agrees they probably should have thought ahead more carefully. Not long after that, Charlotte finally comes running toward them. She stops a few steps away, bends over slightly, and tries to catch her breath while apologizing for making them wait. Preparations for leaving became far more chaotic than she expected. First she had to buy supplies, then settle the in-bill, and after that rush all the way to the transfer gate near the south entrance. Lena looks at her exhausted face and laughs, saying Charlotte already looks worn out before the journey has even begun. Luna steps closer with concern and asks if she is okay. Charlotte weakly murmurs, somehow while trying to steady her breathing, and apologizes once again for being late. Lena waves it off casually and says Charlotte is the one constantly getting dragged around by everyone else anyway. Luna also apologizes for rushing her earlier. Fry watches Charlotte carefully as she struggles to recover and gently asks if she wants to take a short break before they leave. Charlotte quickly shakes her head and says she wants to deliver the herbs to Tort's little sister as soon as possible. Tort's expression softens immediately and she hands Charlotte a bottle of water, thanking her for being so thoughtful. Charlotte smiles gratefully and thanks her for the drink. Fry then begins explaining the route for the trip ahead. They will travel south from Tizire on horseback and stay overnight at a ranch village. After that, they will continue toward the coast and head to Kesti village by boat. Charlotte nods and says she understands. Lena grins brightly and declares she will go bring the horses over. Luna then turns toward Charlotte and casually asks if she knows how to ride a horse. Charlotte immediately stiffens a little before quietly admitting only a little. Back home, they mainly use carriages. Fry nods like she expected that answer and tells Charlotte she can ride together with her instead. Charlotte thanks her with visible relief. Not too far away from them, another carriage stands quietly near the road. A man leans inside respectfully and informs Prince Ignatia and Lady Emilia that preparations for their base of operations in the Holy Kingdom of Alenzi are complete, including lodging arrangements in the holy capital of Tizire. The prince thanks him for the report while the man adds that it took quite a long time to finally arrive this far. Emilia glances toward the prince and calmly says it cannot be helped. Prince Ignatia is the first prince of the Kingdom of Farblum. There is no such thing as being too cautious while entering another nation. The prince agrees, but Emilia quietly looks away. Honestly, she does not want to come to the Holy Kingdom of Alenzi at all. The only reason they are here is because the prince still insists on following Charlotte's trail. He keeps saying they need to reflect properly and offers Charlotte a sincere apology, but Emilia cannot understand it. Exiles are exiles. Why continue chasing after them? Just thinking about Charlotte again makes irritation rise inside her chest. The unpleasant memories come flooding back almost immediately. That night at the royal ball, Emilia had hurried over and apologized for keeping the prince waiting. He had smiled warmly, pulled her gently closer, and told her the replacement dress suited her beautifully. She had giggled softly and thanked him, then lowered her eyes with an innocent expression and confessed that she felt terrible for ruining the dress he originally gave her. The prince had simply laughed and told her he could have as many dresses made for her as she wanted. After all, she was going to become his future queen consort. Then a cold voice had suddenly interrupted them. Someone remarked that the prince seemed to be enjoying himself tonight. The prince instantly frowned and demanded to know who dared interrupt them, but the moment he looked up, his expression froze. Standing there were Duke and Duchess Kokoriara, Charlotte's parents. Her father greeted him coldly, saying it had been a while her mother smiled and called out to him with elegant calmness. Emilia had tried asking who they were, but Charlotte's mother smoothly cut in first, mentioning that Charlotte seemed to have taken her leave from the ball early, though she was glad to see the prince still enjoying the evening. The prince had looked caught off guard for a brief second, before quickly composing himself and saying he had already spoken with Charlotte. A formal notice from the king would follow soon. The Duchess had merely asked if that was so before turning toward her husband and lightly suggesting they wait for His Majesty's official decision. Unlike his wife, however, the Duke had not hidden his displeasure. He stared directly at the prince and asked if this action toward his daughter had truly been approved by the king. An engagement was a matter between noble families. Breaking it without consultation was absurd. The prince visibly paled while the Duke quietly remarked that someone in his position should understand the weight of such actions better than anyone. Emilia had stepped forward at once and tried defending the prince, insisting he had only acted to protect her. But neither of them even looked at her. Instead, the Duchess calmly asked her husband whether they should go greet Queen Bertiana soon. They simply turned as though the conversation had already ended. Seeing Emilia's teary eyes, the prince hurriedly called after them and asked whether they were not being far too rude toward Emilia. The Duchess stopped halfway and glanced back at him coolly before asking whether speaking to one's elders without permission without even offering a proper greeting, was not far more disrespectful. Trying to recover the atmosphere, the prince had forced a smile and formally introduced Emilia as his new fiancé. But before the moment could settle, Queen Bertiana herself had suddenly appeared, cheerfully calling out to the Duchess. The Duchess immediately apologized for arriving so late and said she had been about to greet her properly. The Queen smiled warmly toward her. The prince looked stunned and asked his mother why she was there. But Queen Bertiana simply replied that lady and of House Kokoriara was always welcome, even in the middle of the night. The ballroom had become noisy, so she came to see what the commotion was about. She then invited the Duchess to continue their conversation privately in another room. The prince had hurriedly stopped her, saying there was something important he wished to discuss while they had the chance. But the Queen casually cut him off instead. She openly stated how much she had looked forward to Charlotte marrying into the royal family. Charlotte was the daughter of Lady and from the highly respected house Kokoriara. She possessed the education, refinement, and upbringing worthy of becoming queen. The prince pulled Emilia closer beside him. Emilia quickly lowered her eyes and played the part of a timid, innocent maiden, while the prince declared that he had found the woman truly suited to stand beside him instead. Emilia possessed special healing powers and was the person most fit to become the future queen of Farblum. He looked ready to proudly continue speaking, but the Queen interrupted him once more with a simple question. Then what value did he himself bring to the kingdom? The prince had faltered immediately, staring at her blankly. He repeated the word value in confusion before awkwardly insisting he was the first prince of Farblum and first in line to inherit the throne. Yet after saying that, no other answer came out. Queen Bertiana calmly replied that if he wished to claim such a title, then had he ever truly considered the value of all the effort Charlotte devoted to this kingdom since childhood? The education required to become queen was not something achieved overnight. It was the result of years of work and sacrifice from an entire ducal household. By rejecting Charlotte, he had also rejected the support of one of the kingdom's greatest noble families. He tried arguing back weakly, but the Queen cut him off again, reminding him he had lost a powerful ally. He insisted the Duchess was close friends with his mother, but the Queen coldly corrected him. The Duchess was her longtime friend, not his. Her gaze sharpened as she repeated the same question once again. What value did he himself possess? If he still wished to claim he deserved the throne after losing the support of the Duke's household, then he should prove it with his own hands. His younger siblings were also working hard for the future of the kingdom. Being born first was nothing more than tradition. Back in the present, Emilia thinks bitterly that even if they find Charlotte, what exactly does the prince intend to do afterward? Will he truly lift her exile? Or will he simply drag her back and use her once again for political convenience? Still, there is no point thinking too deeply about it. If the prince intends to prove his worth, then she too has to become someone valuable enough to stand beside him. The prince's attendant informs them that the lodging preparations are complete. Ignatia steps out of the carriage, first before offering Emilia his hand. He tells her that after they finish unloading their luggage, he plans to head into the city and gather information personally. She quickly says she wants to accompany him, but he immediately refuses and instead turns toward the guard, saying he is counting on them to protect her. The guard answers that he understands. Emilia sits on the sofa, hugging the pillow to her chest, and murmurs she is bored. She wishes at least the room was a bit nicer. At this rate, she will just get more and more gloomy. With a sudden burst of energy, she pushes herself up from the sofa and heads for the door. The moment she swings it open, she pokes her head outside and calls for Zeno, standing guard just beyond the entrance. He leans forward with concern and asks what is the matter. Emilia beams at him beneath the brim of her hat, her bright eyes sparkling with excitement. She tells him she wants to go into town and says he should come with her. The words make him stiffen almost instantly. He tries to protest, reminding her that His Highness instructed them to stay put for now. Yet Emilia merely smiles sweetly and waves his concern away, telling him that one little outing will not hurt anyone. Outside, Emilia looks around at the scenery around her. She remarks that it truly is a beautiful town. With so many canals running through it, life here must be convenient. No one needs to drag buckets from some distant well every day. Though, she quietly thinks that such an ordinary life no longer has anything to do with her anymore. Then suddenly, her steps halt. Her gaze fixes on an enormous structure in the distance. She stares up at it and asks what that large building is. Zeno follows her gaze before answering that it is the Grand Cathedral of Florida. According to what people say, it worships a goddess who governs holy power. Though he is not entirely sure if that is the reason, he has heard the city is filled with healers, along with their advanced classes, high healers. Emilia blinks in surprise. Many healers? In the Kingdom of Fabulum, a nation centered around combat professions like swordsmen and knights, healers are incredibly rare. High healers are even rarer, to the point that most people hardly ever encounter one in their entire lives. That is exactly why His Highness recognizes her as someone special. Slowly, she raises a finger toward the cathedral and announces that she wants to go there. Zeno hesitates before awkwardly replying that perhaps it would be best to consult His Highness first. Emilia turns toward him with fierce eyes and demands to know why. She wants to go right now. He falters under the pressure of her stare before explaining that, as she already knows, the Holy Kingdom of Arenzai maintains a hostile relationship with their country. Visiting somewhere as important as their cathedral could be dangerous. Emilia immediately dismisses the concern. She tells him he is overthinking things. It is not as though she is some famous figure people would recognize in a foreign land. Still, Zeno continues looking troubled. He starts to say that if something were to happen, but Emilia cuts him off before he can finish. She tells him that if they visit the Grand Cathedral, they might learn how to become an advanced class healer. And if she gains even greater healing powers, then she could help everyone on the battlefield even more than before. Is that not a good thing? Zeno falls silent for a moment. Then finally, he lowers his head and quietly says he understands. As they approach the cathedral, Emilia slows her pace. Her eyes roam across the massive structure towering before her. The white stone walls rise magnificently toward the heavens, gleaming beneath the sunlight with an almost sacred brilliance. She gazes upward for a long moment, openly admiring it, as she says it is such an impressive structure. Beside her, Zeno mutters that the place is holy. It makes him unable to relax. Emilia doesn't hear him. Her attention shifts toward a nearby conversation instead. A few people speak excitedly among themselves, lamenting that merely imitating the blessed maiden and praying before the goddess statue is apparently not enough. Another speaks of the divine blessing that occurred within the chamber of prayer, saying how honored he would feel to witness such a miracle himself. Emilia says the blessed maiden? She has no idea what that means, but she has to admit it has a rather pleasant ring to it. And honestly, something called a divine blessing sounds perfectly suited for someone like her. She turns to Zeno and declares that they should head to this chamber of prayer. Zeno awkwardly asks if it would be all right for him to wait by the entrance instead. He already feels painfully out of place here. She lets out a groan before waving him off and telling him fine, if he insists. She enters the chamber of prayer alone. The atmosphere inside is quiet and solemn. Countless candles flicker softly beneath the towering statue of the goddess, their warm light dancing across the polished floor. Many people kneel before the statue with lowered heads, hands clasped tightly in prayer. She watches them from afar. So many people willingly kneel on the floor like that. Their clothes are definitely going to get dirty. Eventually, she sits down as well and loosely links her hands together. With little sincerity, she quietly says she would appreciate becoming a high healer or something like that. Though honestly, if wishes came true that easily, life would not be nearly so difficult. A moment later, she approaches one of the nuns. Politely, she admits this is her first time visiting the cathedral and says there is something she would like to ask. She wants to learn more about the place. The nun smiles gently and explains that this is the grand cathedral dedicated to the goddess Florida. Every day, countless people come here to pray. Not only ordinary citizens, but adventurers and professions branching from healers also frequently visit. Emilia asks if by branching professions, she means high healers. The nun nods. She explains that disciples of the goddess Florida can advance from healer to cleric, then eventually to bishop. Alternatively, one may become a shaman through either a miko or a cleric path. Emilia stares blankly at her. She has never even heard of half those classes before. The prince constantly praises her healing abilities, making her believe she already stands among the exceptional few. Yet now she discovers there are still greater heights beyond what she imagined. The nun continues explaining that archbishop and shaman are known as awakened classes. According to legend, they are attained through devoted prayer to the goddess Florida, while continuously leveling up. Leveling up? Emilia thinks truthfully. She has never seriously considered doing such a thing herself. Normally, knights surround her and protect her from danger. Surely, there has to be an easier method than that. The nun closes her eyes with a blissful smile spreading across her face. She says that every day they faithfully serve the goddess Florida and train tirelessly in hopes of attaining an awakened class. And above all else, they eagerly await the day when the highest-ranking class inheriting the goddesses will is finally born. Emilia's expression instantly brightens with fascination. The highest-ranking class? She repeats the word softly. Saintess? She has seen saintesses in picture books and fairy tales before, but she never imagined it was an actual class. All this time, she assumed it was nothing more than fantasy. But if it really exists, then surely that should become the ultimate goal she aims for. Excitedly, she admits she would love to hear more about the saintess class. Unfortunately, the nun only smiles apologetically and informs her it is already closing time. They look forward to her next visit. Emilia exits the chamber with a visible pout on her face. The moment she rejoins Zeno, he asks how it went. She grumbles that she got interrupted right when things were becoming interesting. Then she firmly declares they should simply return another time. Later, when Emilia returns to her room, she finds the prince already waiting for her. The moment he sees her, relief and anxiety flash across his face as he immediately asks where she has been all this time. She casually answers that she went to scout the town with Zeno. The prince looks as though he wants to ask about their findings, but after a pause, he apparently decides against it. Emilia suddenly grows serious. She tells him there is actually something important she wishes to discuss. Her gaze flickers toward the men still standing nearby, and she asks if he could clear the room first. The prince looks surprised by the request. He remarks that this is unusual and asks what exactly happened. She simply pleads with him again. After studying her expression for a moment, he finally orders the men to leave and rest in their own rooms. Once the room empties, Emilia turns back toward him. Then, with complete confidence, she announces that she has made her decision. She is going to become the highest-ranking healer class, a saintess. The prince genuinely looks stunned. He repeats the word in disbelief, asking whether saintesses are not merely fairy tales. She quickly shakes her head and insists they are real. A nun at the cathedral told her so herself. Unfortunately, she could not hear all the details before closing time arrived. But there is no doubt about it. The prince falls silent. Then suddenly, something changes in his eyes. Hope. Bright, renewed hope. He says that if she really becomes a saintess, then the kingdom of Fabulum would not merely rival the holy kingdom of Arenzai, a nation famous for its support classes. Eventually, they could even surpass them and bring them beneath Fabulum's influence. His voice grows stronger with every word. He looks directly at her and says they should prove it. Together, the two of them truly deserve to lead the kingdom of Fabulum. She smiles brightly before taking his hand firmly in hers. Then she nods without hesitation and says yes, definitely. A girl reads about adventurers traveling around the world and seeing all kinds of scenery. To her, it feels like a dream. Tart steps outside her room, carrying a huge book and wearing an equally huge smile. She cheerfully wishes her mother and father good morning. Her mother looks at her in surprise and says she is already up, then gently asks how she is feeling. Tart smiles brightly and says she feels a little better than usual. Her mother says that is good to hear, but her father quickly tells her not to push herself too hard. Her mother's eyes drift toward the large book in her arms, and she says that is the beginner's guide to adventurers they bought the other day. Tart immediately exclaims that it is. She excitedly says that when she reads the explanations about monsters and dungeons, she cannot help thinking how amazing her big sister is. She admires her even more now. Her mother smiles softly and says it might be about time for Tart's sister to come home. Her father adds that it has already been quite a while since she left. Tart lights up excitedly and says that when she returns, they should prepare a celebration for her. Then they should go to Uncle Joe's shop and buy some catnip sugar. But suddenly, her voice falters. She struggles to speak properly, her breathing becoming uneven before her body suddenly gives out. If not for her father rushing forward at the last moment and catching her, she would have struck her head against the floor. He urgently tells her to hang in there while her mother hurriedly says they need to get her onto the bed. As her father lifts her into his arms, Tart weakly reaches toward the book that fell onto the floor. She stretches her hand toward it while thinking that it is just an unattainable dream. Back inside the room, her mother quietly says it looks like she has calmed down now. Her father places a hand against his forehead and says she is usually more energetic in the morning. He let his guard down. He quietly admits that if only he could take her place instead. Every day, she suffers inside that little body. Her mother gently says that maybe someday they will find a clue leading to a cure. Until then, all they can do is believe in that and wait. Meanwhile, Charlotte crawls out of a hole with great difficulty. She thinks that a hidden cat-sized passageway for humans is incredibly cramped. Tort tells her they will still be walking for a while from there. Lena smiles and reminds Charlotte to watch her step while they move. If she becomes too distracted by the scenery around them, it could become dangerous. Charlotte immediately becomes flustered because that is exactly what she has been doing. She has been staring around in awe the entire time. She quickly straightens herself and blurts out a nervous Roger that. As they continue walking, Charlotte notices the scent of the sea growing stronger. Lena tells her they are almost there and explains they will launch the boat from the bay ahead. The moment they finally step out of the cave, Charlotte freezes. A beautiful sea stretches out before them. Lena smiles and says it is beautiful, is it not? Charlotte immediately exclaims that it truly is a hidden passage. At the same time, she cannot help thinking that if only she could use the camera function on her bracelet. Unfortunately, she cannot save or share this stunning view. Charlotte quickly says she will help send the boat out and rushes forward. Once everyone climbs aboard, Fry looks at them and asks if everyone is ready. They all answer yes. Charlotte studies the boat curiously. Its design looks rather simple, making her quietly wonder if it will really be all right with 5 people aboard. Lena then says she will use her mana to activate the magic device. The moment it activates, Charlotte gasps in amazement, her mouth falling open in awe. Lena grins proudly and asks if it looks authentic. Meanwhile, Fry says she will leave the rowing to herself, while Tort announces she will handle the steering. They set the sail, and soon the boat begins moving. Charlotte becomes completely captivated by the sight around her. The glittering waves swaying across the sea, the breeze brushing against her face, the scenery viewed from the boat. Everything feels amazing to her. Then suddenly, her eyes widen. That is the rare material, cat's eye. Fry looks confused and asks what that is. Charlotte explains that cat's eye is an orc capable of granting various special effects when used as a crafting material. In Ria's, it was also an extremely valuable item that allowed players to reincarnate as non-human races. Fry stares at her blankly. Charlotte quickly says that the boat cannot just stop all of a sudden like this. Fry says there is no choice if it has come to this. Without hesitation, she suddenly plunges into the water. Charlotte immediately panics and calls out that it is too reckless. Lena calmly tells her not to panic because Fry will be fine. Luna casually adds that Frey's recklessness is nothing new anyway. Charlotte still looks tense as she peers anxiously over the side of the boat. She quickly activates physical enhancement on Fry. Fry suddenly feels her body becoming lighter underwater. She grins and says she can do this. She quickly swims toward the ore and asks which one is the rare material. Charlotte calls out that it is the cat's "I like stone" on Frey's right side. As Fry grabs hold of it, she mutters that it is tougher than she expected. Charlotte immediately realizes she messed up. To properly mine, or they need the right tool, a pickaxe. Fry suddenly stretches out her hand and tells Lena to throw her a fire attribute dagger. Lena quickly tosses it toward her. Fry catches it perfectly before suddenly plunging the dagger into the ore. Soon, she successfully gathers 5 pieces. Luna praises her and says good job. Lena happily comments that it is nice they are easy to divide. Meanwhile, Charlotte stares at Fry in shock, thinking that her strength is actually fearsome. Fry says they are beautiful, then asks what kind of materials they are used for. Charlotte explains that if they are used to craft goggle-type items, they improve vision in the dark. If they're used for shoes, they can increase jumping power. Lena says that sounds really convenient. She then happily adds that finding treasure right away is a great start. Tort suddenly announces that they are about to head into open waters. Fry grins and tells her to pick up the speed. Not long afterward, they finally arrive. Charlotte stares ahead at a field of cattails before her eyes. A meadow, a whole sea of fluff. Charlotte exclaims the plums sway in the wind like waves of gold. Luna tells her that this village is just beyond the meadow. She also explains that monsters appear around the area, though they are all small fry, so with Charlotte's support, things should be easy. Charlotte jerks upright and hurriedly says yes. She quickly activates physical enhancement and goddess protection on Lena. Lena thanks her and says she is heading out to scout ahead. Luna warns her not to get too carried away. As Lena runs off, she mutters that Luna is such a worrywart. However, she quickly returns moments later. She informs them that they have company ahead, 3 swordsmen and 2 archers. Luna narrows her eyes and repeats archers, saying they will be troublesome if they attack from long range. Then she calmly says that she and Lena will each take one down first. Fry says she will provide support afterward. Charlotte nods and says she will continue providing support too. She activates God's strike on both Luna and Lena. Lena immediately says power is surging through her body. Luna glances at Charlotte and says that skill boosts their attack power. Charlotte nods and explains that the next attack they make will have double the power. Lena gives a playful wink and says they should wrap this up quickly. Luna smiles as well and tells everyone to push forward. Charlotte watches the sisters leave while thinking that archers and swordsmen can come at them all they want. Still, this is unfamiliar territory for her. She needs to stay sharp and focused. But then suddenly, her mouth slowly falls open. There are 2 cat-like figures standing there. One carries a sword. The other holds a bow. Now shock turns into pure, open awe. They are so cute. But then she quickly shakes her head. No, she cannot let their appearance fool her. This is a monster she has never seen before. She pulls out a material called Fragments of Star Memory, a single-use item that, when used on humans, can identify their level and class. When used on monsters, it reveals their name, level, and attribute. However, it only works if the target is level 50 or below. Cat Archer, level 25, attribute: none. A backline fighter that attacks from range. Cat Swordsman, level 25, attribute: none. A frontline fighter that specializes in speed-based attacks. She thinks they are level 25 monsters, stronger than her level 17. But since she can leave direct combat to Lena and the others, it should not be a problem. Lena says they are enemies, while Luna immediately says they should hurry and activate Blizzard of Absolute Zero. While Lena rushes forward with her hand on her sword, Charlotte watches in complete disbelief as both the archer and swordsman are instantly wiped out. That was clearly overkill. She actually feels a little guilty for the monsters. Fry says there was not even a chance for her to follow up, while Today tells the sisters they really got a bit too carried away. Luna smiles sheepishly and says sorry. She just could not hold back once she thought about double the power. Before she could even think about her mana consumption, she already swung her staff. Fry says, well, they defeated the enemies, so that is good, right? Charlotte says, good work, everyone. It is not much, but here is something to help them recover. She then casts mana regeneration on Lena and Luna. Fry looks at her in confusion. So Charlotte explains that it restores mana every 30 seconds. Her level is still low, so the effect is not that strong yet. Luna immediately says that is incredibly useful, while Lena admits that when she runs out of mana, she starts feeling sluggish, spaces out, and loses motivation. That is why this helps a lot. Charlotte smiles softly and says she is glad to hear that. Tort points ahead and says the village is just up there. Lena smiles brightly and says it has been a long journey, but Luna warns them not to let their guard down yet. They do not even know if they will allow Sharon into the village. Lena says she is sure it will somehow work out. Luna mutters that she hopes she is right. But the moment they reach the entrance, the guards immediately begin pushing Charlotte back, saying they cannot simply allow strangers inside. As Charlotte gets shoved around, she stares in shock. The village is far more heavily guarded than she expected. Tort quickly tells them to wait. She was the one who invited her. But the guards argue that letting Fry and the others through is one thing, while carelessly allowing an unknown human inside is another. Lena protests that they only found the medical herb because of Charlotte, and Tort adds that she knows so much and came specifically to help treat her little sister. The guards exchange looks before asking if that means she is a friendly ally. If that is the case, then perhaps, though, if the villagers themselves will accept it is another issue entirely. Fry reminds them that they were not welcomed at first either. Lena quietly explains to Charlotte that because the Katesith rarely interact with outsiders, many of them are simply not used to humans. Charlotte thinks for a moment before saying it is a long shot, but she has a proposal. Later, once they finally enter the village, Lena happily says she is glad they made it through safely. Surprisingly, the villagers do not seem worried either. Charlotte is currently wearing the car robe, and somehow everyone accepted it despite the fact that she herself suggested the idea. Honestly, the Katesith's lack of caution worries her a little, but the moment she looks around, all of those thoughts vanish. The long-awaited village stretches before her. Tort points ahead and says her house is the one with the blue roof. Inside, Tort's little sister is already staring out the window, having noticed her sister's group returning home. The moment she sees Tort, her face lights up and she reaches toward her happily. But before she can even properly greet them, everyone immediately surrounds her with worried questions, asking if she had been sleeping, apologizing for waking her, asking how she feels, and if she is all right sitting up. Charlotte quietly watches the scene. So this is Tort's little sister. Tart slowly lifts her gaze toward Charlotte, while Tort gently explains that they have guests for the first time in a long while, and that she should say hello. But suddenly, she collapses unconscious. Everyone panics instantly. Charlotte quickly says that while healer skills cannot cure illnesses directly, she can at least restore her strength. She immediately casts Heal. Moments later, Tart's little sister slowly opens her eyes and weakly whispers that it is easier to breathe. Just to be safe, Charlotte casts Regeneration as well. At that moment, their mother rushes out, calling Tart's name and saying she is finally back after such a long trip. But the instant she sees her daughter being carried, her expression changes completely. She hurriedly runs off to fetch the doctor. After examining the girl, the doctor says the symptoms appear almost the same as always. She has a fever, so he prescribed medicine once again. Tort quickly blurts out that they found the legendary herb and that with it, they can finally make the cure. The doctor freezes in shock before hurriedly taking the herb and activating herb appraisal. A moment later, his face pales. Tort anxiously asks what is wrong. The doctor admits he has never seen such a delicate herb before. His level as an apothecary is nowhere near high enough to handle it properly. Even with his compounding skill, he cannot process something of this level. Everyone stares at him in disbelief. Charlotte quietly thinks about how apothecary is a class completely unsuited for battle. To raise skill levels, the doctor would need to level up, but because of his terrible combat ability, efficient leveling is nearly impossible. In a world without shared guides or strategies like the game had, this really is a dead end. Tort quietly says that in this village, the doctor is the only one capable of using compounding at all. Luna asks whether there is no other kind of magic that could replace compounding. But Lena says it would honestly be faster to return to Zaire and search for a high-level apothecary there instead. Fry asks Charlotte if she has noticed anything at all, no matter how small. Charlotte hesitates before politely asking if she may know the name of the illness. The doctor replies that they still do not know. Neither the exact illness nor its cause has ever been identified. The girl constantly suffers from fatigue and sudden loss of consciousness. Their mother explains that every morning she appears relatively fine after waking up, but as the day progresses, her condition worsens until she eventually collapses into bed again. It repeats every single day. The doctor adds that heal potions temporarily ease the symptoms, but never actually cure her. Charlotte lowers her gaze thoughtfully. When she used heal earlier, there really did seem to be a slight effect. And if the girl feels best in the morning after sleeping, could it be because her stamina naturally recovers during rest? As time passes, she experiences fatigue, sluggishness, and eventually unconsciousness. In other words, Charlotte slowly asks the doctor if they have ever tried giving her a mana recovery potion instead. The doctor blinks in confusion. Mana recovery? No, they never considered it. Charlotte quietly pulls out a star potion. Luna immediately recognizes it and asks if that item restores mana. Charlotte nods and explains that this is only a hypothesis, but Tart's little sister might be suffering from continuous mana loss. Her mana may constantly decrease while active, forcing her body to consume physical stamina to compensate. That would explain why she eventually collapses every single day. Luna immediately understands. That is why heal potions only provide temporary relief. The real problem was never solved because her mana itself was never replenished. Fry adds that, because of that, none of the treatments ever reached a true solution. Tort desperately asks Charlotte to give her the potion. Charlotte gently kneels beside the girl and tells her to try drinking it slowly. Everyone watches breathlessly as the girl drinks. The entire room falls silent. Then suddenly, her eyes widen. She shakily says she does not feel pain anymore. Her whole body feels light, almost as if it has been reborn. Their mother immediately bursts into tears and hugs both daughters tightly, while the girls smile brightly through watery eyes. Charlotte quietly closes her own eyes in relief. Thank goodness. Her diagnosis was correct. The illness tormenting the girl was never an ordinary sickness. Most likely, it was a status condition known as mana drain. To completely remove it, they would need a rare item capable of curing all status ailments. And to fully restore her body, drops of paradise would still be necessary. Their mother bows deeply before Charlotte, thanking her again and again from the bottom of her heart for saving her daughter. Completely flustered, Charlotte hurriedly says it was only a temporary solution. Tort quickly introduces her properly, explaining that this is Sharon, a truly reliable healer. Her mother smiles warmly and says that much is already obvious. She introduces herself as Elsa and says it is wonderful to meet her. Charlotte politely replies that the pleasure is hers before turning back to the girl. She says it is only a small support spell, but it should help with her recovery, and gently casts mana regeneration once more. The girls then announce that they will escort the doctor out and tell Tort and Elsa to stay with her little sister for now. Outside, the doctor lowers his head bitterly and says he is useless. If only he had been a more skilled apothecary, he could have done something himself. Luna gently reminds him that he has still spent all this time caring for the entire village, and that alone is admirable. She tells him not to blame himself. Still, the doctor quietly says he is the village's only apothecary. Potions can only suppress the symptoms temporarily. If they truly want to cure her, they need another method entirely. Charlotte suddenly asks whether there is an alchemist somewhere in the village. Luna looks surprised. An alchemist? Pharmaceutical crafting can create potions too, right? Charlotte nods and says she vaguely remembers a pharmaceutical recipe involving drops of paradise. The doctor suddenly pauses before muttering that if Tort's grandmother were still alive, Perhaps she could have helped. Charlotte immediately looks shocked and asks if Tort's grandmother was an alchemist. Luna says that now that she thinks about it, she remembers hearing rumors about a laboratory hidden beneath their house. Fry says that either way, they should search the village and see whether there are any alchemists around. But the doctor warns them to be careful because the sun is already beginning to set. They split into two groups and begin searching. Some children stare at them in complete horror, while women from their homes simply shake their heads. After searching all over, both groups end up with absolutely nothing. Luna sighs and says they still have not asked everyone yet, but they should probably hear what Elsa and the others have to say first and continue tomorrow. Suddenly, Lena cups her hands around her mouth and screams, "If there are any alchemists out there, just show yourselves already." At that exact moment, Tart comes running toward them, waving happily and saying she is here too. Fry immediately asks if it is really all right for her to be outside walking around when she is supposed to be resting. Tart smiles brightly and says that if she takes it slowly, she feels completely fine now. She then cheerfully asks whether everyone is staying at their house tonight because her sister is currently making dinner. Then Charlotte suddenly freezes. Her eyes slowly widen as she stares at Tart. Could it be that her job is? Tart beams proudly and announces that she is an alchemist. Everyone stares at her with utterly dumbfounded expressions before simultaneously screaming in shock, making the poor girl immediately flinch in confusion. Back at Tart's home, her father hesitantly says she wants her to start making potions herself. Charlotte replies that yes, it is necessary in order to fully heal Tort. Her father says his wife already told him everything that happened, and he is truly grateful for all they have done for her, but Tort is still recovering. What if her condition suddenly changes again? Her mother also asks whether Tort can even craft potions in the first place. Fry calmly says she does not think that will be an issue. Tort shyly says she is a level 18 alchemist, and her formulation skill is level 10. Luna immediately adds that her level and skills are more than high enough to make the potion they need. Lena grins and says it is a good thing Fry trained her to become stronger. Luna adds that although Tort's health was much better back then, she still remembers being really worried about her. Tort nervously fidgets with her fingers and quietly admits she has always felt powerless. She always needed help from her family and the doctor. But now if there is truly a way for her to become healthy, and if she can use her own skills for that, then she wants to try no matter what. She wants to believe there are things even she can do. This will be her first step toward believing in herself. Her father falls silent for a moment before finally sighing and saying he understands. But if she is going to make the potion, then they want to stay beside her while she does it. Charlotte smiles and says of course. The moment they agree, Tort excitedly raises her hand and says she wants to use Grandma's workroom. Her mother immediately says she may use the room and tools however she wishes. She has kept everything clean and carefully maintained this entire time. Tort's eyes shine brightly as she thanks both her parents, promising she will become healthy and strong. Her father gently says that is all they could ever wish for, while her mother smiles warmly and tells her they believe in her completely. Inside the workroom, Charlotte announces that the potion they're going to make is called a shooting star potion. All the girls freeze in shock. Luna immediately blurts out the name in disbelief, while Lena says that is the legendary healing potion people claim does not even exist. Fry quickly asks Charlotte if she really knows the recipe. Charlotte explains that she happened to come across it by chance. In Rees, the shooting star potion was a resurrection item. Any player revived with it would have all previous status conditions removed completely. It may only exist as a legend in this world now, but if Tort can receive its effects without actually dying first, then there is a chance it could completely cure mana drain. Charlotte gently asks Tort how she feels right now. Tort replies that she drank another mana recovery potion after dinner, so she feels surprisingly good. But then her voice weakens slightly as she admits she is still scared. She watched her grandmother make potions countless times when she was younger, but she herself has never actually made one before. Tart walks over and takes her sister's hand, softly telling her she will be all right because she is not alone. They are all here with her. Tort slowly looks around at everyone encouraging her. For a moment, she simply watches them in silence, and then she becomes determined and begins. Starting with formulation, Charlotte calmly guides her through the process, explaining that she should add the ingredients in order of rarity, starting from the least rare. First comes the manna herb. She tells Tort to stir the mixture slowly and carefully with a stirring spoon. When the surface flashes, that means the next ingredient can be added safely. One by one, the ingredients go in. Holy water, the 4 elemental flowers, and finally paradise dew. Tort's hands begin trembling slightly from exhaustion, but Charlotte gently encourages her, telling her she is doing well. Relax. Do not stop moving your hands. Just keep stirring slowly. Soon, the liquid begins glowing brilliantly, and then it is finished. Tort gasps and says she did it. Her parents stare nervously at the potion, wondering if it will really work. The moment Tort drinks it, her eyes widen instantly. Then her body suddenly wobbles. Before she can fall, Tort quickly catches her. Tort tightly hugs her sister and shakily says her whole body feels hot, like it is burning from the inside. Everyone panics. But after several tense moments, Tort opens her eyes again. Charlotte asks whether she is all right. Is she in pain? Does she feel anything strange? Instead of answering, Tort slowly stares down at her own hands in disbelief. Then she looks toward her parents, and suddenly she starts spinning around the room in pure joy. Everyone watches in stunned silence as tears fill Tort's eyes. Tort laughs and tells Charlotte she can move freely now. She does not feel weak anymore. Her father breaks down crying in relief, while her mother proudly tells her she did such an amazing job. Tort tightly hugs her little sister and excitedly says this means she will finally be able to run outside and play as much as she wants now. Fry smiles proudly and says she is seriously impressed. Luna congratulates her warmly. Charlotte smiles softly and tells Tort congratulations, adding that she was incredibly talented at formulation and will definitely become an amazing alchemist someday. Tort lights up at the praise before suddenly asking whether she may have some more paradise dew. Fry immediately says they gathered it for her in the first place, so of course she can use it. But Luna curiously asks what she plans to do with more of it. Tort excitedly replies that she wants to make more shooting star potions. Her father tries to gently remind her that she is still recovering and should not overwork herself, but Tort quickly cuts him off. She heard that these potions are unbelievably valuable. They could help everyone during their adventures. She wants to properly thank Tort and the others for everything they have done for her. Besides, she feels like she can do absolutely anything right now. She has never once felt this alive before. Her father hesitates, but her mother simply smiles and tells him to let her do what she wants. Though she firmly warns Tort that she is absolutely not allowed to stay up too late. She then asks Charlotte if she would keep an eye on Tort. Charlotte confidently tells them to leave it to her. By the time Tort finally finishes crafting all the bottles, she happily hands one to everyone. Luna stares at the potion in awe and says that with this, they could probably challenge almost any dungeon without fear. Fry hesitates and asks whether they should really accept something so valuable. But Tort smiles brightly and says of course they should. She poured all of her gratitude into making them, so she wants everyone to have one. Fry smiles warmly and promises they will treasure it carefully. Then Tort walks over to Charlotte and personally give her one. Charlotte looks surprised and asks if she is really sure. Tort nods firmly and says she never could have made the shooting star potion without Charlotte's help. Charlotte smiles softly and thanks her, saying this is definitely going to make future adventures a lot more exciting. After a while, Charlotte stretches slightly and says today was unbelievably busy, so everyone must be exhausted by now. Maybe they should all get some sleep. Tort happily agrees. The next morning, the girls walk downstairs only to find Tort already awake and casually drinking coffee. She cheerfully says everyone really slept in today. Luna laughs and says they were probably too relaxed. She then notices how quiet the house is and asks whether Tort's parents already left for work. Tort nods and says she will warm up breakfast for everyone. In the meantime, they can help themselves to tea. The sisters grab tea first, while Lena happily says the aroma of cattail tea is incredibly soothing. Luna suddenly notices someone missing and asks where Charlotte went. Tort casually replies that Charlotte left earlier to take a walk around the village. Luna immediately sighs and says that sounds exactly like her. Fry wonders if it is really all right for Charlotte to wander around alone. Tort explains that Charlotte mentioned wanting to see the coral cave. Lena immediately blurts out that the coral cave is a dungeon. Luna says that at least Charlotte probably would not run into many villagers there, but still, why would she go there alone? Even Lena admits she would never casually walk deep into a dungeon by herself. Surely Charlotte only planned to peek inside for a moment. Everyone nervously agrees that they really hope so. Meanwhile, Charlotte stands in front of the coral cave with wide, blinking eyes. Even the entrance alone feels mysterious. Glittering crystal-like coral spreads across the walls, glowing faintly under the sunlight like an entrance into another world. She wonders what the inside looks like. She is overwhelmingly curious. Still, would it really be safe for a healer to enter a dungeon alone? Charlotte hesitates for exactly 3 seconds before immediately deciding she will just take a tiny peek. Only for today. If anything dangerous happens, she still has a shooting star potion anyway. To be extra safe, she casts goddess protection on herself. Then regeneration too. Now fully satisfied with her absolutely flawless planning, Charlotte excitedly steps toward the cave entrance, unable to stop imagining how beautiful the inside must look. Meanwhile, Tart arrives at the coral cave a short while later and freezes when she notices something strange. There are footprints leading into the dungeon, but none coming back out. Tart slowly gulps. Could it be Charlotte already went inside? After a moment of silence, she rushes into the cave after her. As Charlotte walks inside, the air feels chilly. She wonders if there is water nearby. Then she spots a natural aquarium, her eyes widening in disbelief. Now this is what fantasy worlds are all about. She is glad she ventured inside, but then she stops. She should not go too far. Suddenly, something attacks her. She activates goddess protection and quickly looks around for the attacker, only to find a monster glaring at her. She recognizes it immediately as a merfolk. It is likely the type of monster that attacks the moment it becomes enraged. Level 25 water element, weak to physical attacks. It does not look very strong, but she has no way to launch a physical attack. It is unfortunate, but maybe it is time to end this exploration. On the other hand, Tart is worried after hearing that voice. She has never been here alone before, so she is feeling a little nervous. But the place is still so beautiful. There are so many fish swimming around. Then she spots Charlotte and then the creature. She lets out a loud gasp. Charlotte turns to her in shock and asks if that is a howlman. But quickly, she asks what Tart is doing here and where everyone else is. Tart, looking scared, tries to speak but struggles to form words. Charlotte tells her they should go outside first. It is difficult to talk here. Outside, Charlotte asks Tart if she followed her here alone. Tart admits she heard Charlotte was heading to the dungeon and became worried. She apologizes for being reckless. Charlotte gently tells her that if she leaves without telling anyone, everyone will worry. She should also avoid going to dangerous places alone. Then she smiles and adds, though she is not exactly one to talk. She asks Charlotte if she has ever been in this dungeon before. Charlotte replies that Fry used to bring her here when she was training her. They would practice by hunting Hallmans. But today, she walked through the dungeon alone. It was a bit scary, but it made her feel like an adventurer. It was also exciting. Charlotte smiles and says she understands how she feels. Suddenly, Tart slows her steps and asks why Charlotte became an adventurer. Charlotte says it is a long story. When she was little, she could not play outside or do whatever she wanted. In fact, she never had time to think about what she wanted to do with her life. It was almost as if she had put a lid on her own feelings. When she finally experienced freedom for the first time, she was captivated by the beautiful world in front of her. She realized this world is full of landscapes she does not know yet. That was when she decided to become an adventurer and travel the world. Yesterday, she told Tart she would become a great alchemist. but that is just one of many paths she can take. As she grows up, she will discover many things she may want to do, because now she can go wherever she wants on her own 2 feet. Tarte watches her with admiration. Charlotte then smiles awkwardly and apologizes for getting carried away with her story. Tarte quickly tells her not to apologize. She really enjoyed it. When they return to the house, Luna immediately asks where Charlotte went, saying they were all worried. Tarte apologizes. Lena says she is just glad they are both okay. Tarte says her parents are coming home early today, and Fry adds that they are planning to celebrate her recovery tonight. Tarte is baking a cake. Later, they hold a small celebration. Everyone drinks and cheers, congratulating Tarte on her recovery. Tarte smiles and thanks everyone for supporting her. Her father says of course they would. They are simply happy she is better. Her sister says she has grown so much. Fry adds that she has matured in many ways. Luna says watching a younger sister grow up is bittersweet, isn't it? Lena replies, is it? Suddenly, Tarte stands up and announces that she has something to say. She looks at Charlotte and asks her to make her apprentice. Charlotte looks at her in shock. Her father immediately asks what she is talking about. She is too young for an apprenticeship. Her mother tells him to calm down and asks Tarte if this is really her own decision. Tarte nods and says yes. Charlotte points out that she is a healer and cannot be an alchemist mentor. Tarte says she knows that. It is just that she is truly happy now, not only because she is no longer in pain, but because she feels proud of herself for the first time. With everyone's help, she was able to craft her own potion. She wants to become a proper alchemist and help others someday. It feels like a dream, but she does not want it to stay a dream. She wants to make it real. She has already learned so much from Charlotte. She wants to travel, learn more, and achieve her dream. Her mother gently says she understands. When her father tries to protest, Elsa says she is scared too, but she also believes dreams should be encouraged. Tarte has stayed strong for so long, always smiling even when she was suffering. She is strong, smart, and kind. As a mother, she wants to support her daughter's dream. Her father finally sighs and says he has one condition. She must always remember the difference between doing her best and overdoing it. She can come home anytime, and she must never forget they are always on her side. Tarte pinky promises him. The family then turns to Charlotte and asks if they can trust her to look after Tarte. Charlotte freezes completely. Having an alchemist partner would be very beneficial, but it would also mean sharing what she knows from Reese. Still, she doubts Tarte would ever misuse that knowledge. More importantly, is she even fit to be a mentor? Even so, she looks down at Tarte. Adventuring is not all fun. It comes with danger and disasters. At some point, she may have to face that reality. Charlotte nervously asks if she still wants to come with her. Without hesitation, Tarte says she will follow her to the ends of the world. Charlotte stares at her in shock, then smiles. All right, from today on, I am your mentor. Tarte beams and says she is her apprentice. Luna laughs and says they will make a great team. Lena adds that there is so much to celebrate today. Fry says it is double the happiness. Colton, who is crying, is gently consoled by Elsa, who tells him to stop crying and enjoy the celebration. Tarte brings out more food and cake, insisting everyone eat up. The next morning, they are ready to leave. Tarte's father is still reluctant and tells her to make sure Tarte does not overdo it, saying they will be worrying about her. She waves at them excitedly and says she will see them later. Charlotte writes a letter to her mother. It is from Charlotte. How is she? The flowers here are in full bloom, brightening up the world. She has begun a new life as an adventurer in the sacred land of Arenzii, and it has been very fulfilling. She has met so many new people that trying to describe them all would take too long. And she will never guess, but she now has an apprentice. She is a hard-working Kate Sith girl, and she hopes to introduce her someday. She also heard a rumor that Prince Iganesha is in the holy capital of Zinni. Since it was the prince who banished her, she would rather not run into him. When things settle down, she will send another letter with a return address. If her mother hears anything about what the prince is planning, she would appreciate a note. She wishes many blessings on her family and homeland. Love, Charlotte. Charlotte stretches and says, all done. Since she cannot use express mail for nobles, it will probably take a long time to reach home, but if she never writes, they will worry. Tart wakes up and asks if she was asleep. Charlotte quickly apologizes and says she looked tired after they arrived at the farming village, so she let her rest. Tart says it is okay, but Charlotte replies that she might still be tired. They did push themselves to get here quickly. Tart explains it was only because she insisted on leaving right away. She wants to get her alchemist equipment in Zill and register with the Adventurers Guild. Charlotte smiles and says right, their levels are not close to Fry and the others yet, so they cannot join their party. But once they get stronger, it will be great to go on adventures together. Tart agrees, but adds that she still wants to be treated as a proper apprentice. Charlotte smiles awkwardly, scratches the back of her head, and then her gaze lands on her bracelet. Maybe she should tell her this now, she says. She shows her bracelet. Tart watches it in awe and exclaims that it is so cool. An adventurer's accessory? Charlotte explains that it is called an adventure bracelet. It allows them to select skills and carry a large amount of items. Tart says it is very convenient, but she has never seen it mentioned in any adventurer handbook. Charlotte replies that it is not widely known yet. There are other functions too, but she will explain once Tart gets one of her own. Tart immediately asks if she can have one too. Charlotte explains that she just needs to collect the required materials and bring them to a craftsman, who will make one for her. The materials require hunting, but at her level, it should be easy. Then Charlotte asks something important. What kind of alchemist does she want to become? Tart looks surprised, then softly says she wants to be like her grandmother, able to create all kinds of potions. Charlotte brightens and says that is wonderful. There are many types of potions alchemists can create. Some enhance skills, some heal, and others can even be used offensively. She asks whether Tart wants to focus on research, support, or combat alchemy. Thinking about it now will help when selecting skills later through her adventure bracelet. Tart nods and says she will think carefully about it. Charlotte says good and suggests they gather materials on the way to Zill tomorrow. Tart eagerly agrees. The next morning, she is already hunting slimes, defeating them with her weapon, and jumping happily when she obtains materials. Charlotte watches and says, good job. Tart says she only needs 5 jiggly jellies. Charlotte confirms that is right, but reminds her she also needs 3 rabbit pelts, flowers, and 10 bundles of white herbs. Tart confidently says she has got this. Charlotte thinks she was a little worried, but she is glad Tart is enjoying herself, maybe even too much. She reminds her a bit of Fry. If she is following in the hero's footsteps, then that is a good sign. Soon, Tart returns excitedly, saying she collected everything. Charlotte looks shocked and asks, already? Tart proudly says it was easy once she got the hang of it. Charlotte smiles and tells her she is amazing, and they should go get the bracelet made as soon as they arrive in Zill. When they reach the city, Tart is overwhelmed, looking around in awe at the crowded streets and countless shops. She points at 2 tall buildings and asks what they are. Charlotte explains that the one nearby is the Florida Cathedral, and the Crystal Castle farther away is where the Pope resides. Tart freezes, blinking rapidly, then suddenly says there is an emergency. Charlotte panics and asks what it is. Tart simply says there are delicious smells coming from every direction. Charlotte sighs in relief and says it is just lunchtime, so they should eat first. Later, Charlotte knocks on Luminous' door. Luminous opens it and greets Charlotte in surprise, then looks at Tart and asks who she is. Tart introduces herself proudly as an alchemist. Charlotte explains that she is her apprentice. Luminous smiles warmly and says what a polite young lady and invites them inside. Inside, Luminous asks, why exactly did she bring her apprentice here? Tart says she would like her to make an adventure bracelet. A glowing quest window suddenly appears. Charlotte freezes in shock. Tart also sees it and stares in confusion. Charlotte quickly tells her it is okay and asks her to hand over the materials. Tart tells her she collected all the materials for the bracelet. Luminous laughs and says the 2 of them are quite similar and says she got it. She tells them she will make the very best and leaves. Tart panics and says she saw glowing letters just now. Charlotte says, right, he should have told her ahead of time that is called a quest window. As she is navigating the world, That board will let her know when she comes in contact with important information. After a while, she returns and hands over the finished bracelet. Tarte thanks her excitedly and puts it on, saying it is her very own adventure bracelet. Charlotte smiles and shows her own bracelet, saying it suits her perfectly. Luminous asks Charlotte if she will teach her how to use it. Charlotte agrees and thanks her again. Tarte promises she will treasure it always. Luminous tells them they can come back anytime. Outside, Tarte keeps admiring the bracelet, saying it is beautiful and matches Charlotte's. Charlotte says it really feels like they are master and apprentice. She suggests they find an inn, and she will teach her how to use it properly. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a woman looks out over the streets. Two people approach her and say, "There she is, Her Holiness." Her Holiness apologizes and says the city view brings her comfort. Mimosa reports that there have been suspicious activities from the Rodney faction recently. Blitz apologizes, saying they have failed in their duties and caused her worry. She tells them to raise their heads. If there is blame, it belongs to her as well for failing to prevent Leroy's unjust transfer despite him being her aide. Mimosa says he is sure Leroy's heart still remains with her. Blitz vows they will continue protecting her as long as she is the Pope of the sacred land of Orenzii. She thanks them and says she must also fulfill her own mission. Somewhere else, a man laughs darkly, saying it is almost time. He looks toward Laia, the goddess of darkness, and calls upon her blessing to grant him Rodney Harvez. Meanwhile, Amelia snaps at the nun, saying she has had enough of her excuses and demands to be told how to become a holy maiden already. Leroy approaches them and asks the holy maiden what seems to be the problem. He then turns to Amelia and apologizes for the interruption, explaining that other worshippers have complained about the noise. Amelia snaps that it is all because she refuses to tell her anything. Leroy politely apologizes again, saying that if they have offended her, she is welcome to visit again when she is feeling calmer. Amelia replies that she hopes he will have information on how to become a holy maiden before she returns. After she leaves, the nun lowers her head and thanks him for his help. Leroy says it is his duty to maintain order at the cathedral. He adds that the woman has been coming quite frequently lately. The nun explains that Amelia keeps grabbing priests and priestesses at random, insisting they tell her how to become a holy maiden. She quickly apologizes, saying she did not mean to speak badly of her. Leroy says he understands. In any case, if she continues causing trouble, he will find solution. The nun thanks him sincerely, saying they are grateful he has come to this cathedral. He replies that he is glad to hear that. But after she leaves, memories resurface. When he first learned he was being transferred to the Floridia Cathedral, he protested, saying his duty was to serve Her Holiness Tithia. He could not accept the decision. However, the high priest told him it had already been decided. He heard that Her Holiness was doing her best as the Pope, but she was still too young, not only in age, but also in her way of thinking. Leroy argued that Her Holiness sincerely cared for her people, and they all admired her. Her wish was for everyone in the sacred land of Orenzii to live peaceful lives. The man replied that this was exactly what made her immature. A ruler could not govern with ideals alone. A leader must sometimes be willing to sacrifice the weak for the sake of prosperity. He said it was for her own good that they needed to remove those who overlooked her naivety. If Leroy truly cared for his master, he should step back. The man added that, although it was only a rumor in the streets, some believed that Rodney was the only force capable of rivaling the Pope's faction led by Her Holiness. Maintaining balance was essential in politics. As a wise man, Leroy should understand that she was risking her position by upsetting that balance. Leroy realized what was happening but felt powerless. He lowered his head and said he understood. He cursed Rodney, calling him an old schemer who used dirty money to buy influence. He wondered what exactly he was plotting. He had warned Her Holiness before his transfer, so she would be prepared for anything. But he still had a bad feeling about this. He looks out the window, silently hoping she is safe. On the other hand, Charlotte finishes explaining everything about how to use the adventure bracelet to Tarte. Tart says there is so much to learn: magic, bag storage, equipment management. Charlotte assures her she will get used to it quickly. They should try getting skills next. Tart says she does not have any skill points left. Charlotte tells her not to worry. Using a skill reset potion, she can remove unnecessary skills and recover her points. Then she asks if she has decided what kind of alchemist she wants to become. Charlotte explains that she came on this journey because she wants to travel the world. She will need strength to fight strong enemies, so instead of always being protected, she wants to become an alchemist who can fight alongside her. Tart says she also wants to fight together with her. Charlotte replies that there is a way to improve both potion making and combat skills. She can create combat potions and support items, such as Molotovs and Bottle of Tears, which can be thrown at enemies. Tart immediately says she wants to learn that style of fighting. Charlotte agrees and says she will support her. Then she suggests they try the skill reset potion now. Tart hesitates, saying it looks scary. Charlotte admits it does not taste good either. She asks what skills Tart wants to keep. Tart replies, formulation for potion making. Charlotte says potion throw is essential for combat, and they can decide other skills later as she levels up. Tart drinks the potion in one go, then immediately freezes and gags, saying it is the most bitter thing she has ever tasted. Charlotte praises her and gives her candy to wash it down. Then she checks the quest window and confirms the skill reset was successful. She suggests they go into town to buy materials for formulation. Tart happily agrees. In town, Tart walks ahead excitedly, saying they are going shopping. Charlotte smiles and suggests registering transportation gates as well. She explains that these gates exist all over the world, and once registered, they can travel between them using the bracelet. Tart touches the magic stone, glowing as her registration completes. Charlotte adds that she can also register the gate in her hometown so she can visit her family anytime. Tart is amazed, saying she can feel her world expanding. Charlotte says she understands how she feels. When they enter a shop, the shopkeeper greets them, recognizing Charlotte as the customer who previously bought a large amount of jiggly jelly. Charlotte awkwardly thinks she is remembered for that. The shopkeeper then asks what they need. Tart introduces herself as an alchemist and says she needs formulation equipment. The shopkeeper leads them inside, and Tart looks around in awe at all the shining materials. Charlotte jokes that since it is a special occasion, they might as well buy everything new. Then she sees the price and immediately goes pale. She realizes she cannot afford anything, even with her savings and Frey support. Charlotte tells her not to worry and says she will handle it. Tart refuses, saying it is too expensive. Charlotte insists it is an investment. Good tools are necessary for growth, and it will benefit both of them in the future. Tart reluctantly agrees, saying she will repay her little by little once she starts earning as an adventurer. The shopkeeper is impressed and offers them recipe books for alchemists. Charlotte buys beginner and intermediate recipe books and asks about materials for Molotovs. The shopkeeper lists fire mushrooms, magic stones, oil, and potion bottles, but says they do not have orc rags, as they are difficult to store. The Adventurers Guild might have them. Charlotte decides they will go there next and register Tart as an adventurer. She then buys fermentation tools, recipe books, fire mushrooms, 300 empty potion bottles, 50 magic stones, and 50 units of oil. The shopkeeper thanks them for their purchase. At the guild, Charlotte greets Prim at the reception. Prim looks surprised and says Charlotte is back and asks who the girl is. Tart introduces herself as an alchemist. Charlotte explains she is her apprentice. Prim is impressed and registers Tart as an adventurer, then forms their party. She also asks about Kent and Coco, and Charlotte replies they are doing well and are out hunting monsters and asks if she should let them know about her arrival. Charlotte replies yes and then requests fire mushrooms and orc rags. Prim confirms they have 150 fire mushrooms and 32 orc rags available. Tart eagerly says they will take all of them. Prim mentions standing orders for regular supply, and Charlotte agrees, saying they should set one up. Tart excitedly says she can finally make Molotovs. However, when the crate of orc rags is opened, a terrible smell spreads through the room. They immediately covers their noses. Charlotte quickly tells Tart to cover hers as well. Since Kate said have a strong sense of smell, it must be nastier for her. They decide to deal with the smell later and review the recipe book instead. The Molotov is described as a combat potion that deals high damage when thrown using the potion throw skill. Tart happily starts preparing more, excited to continue. Charlotte reminds her not to overuse her mana. After they finish crafting enough Molotovs, they should take a guild quest to hunt monsters the next day. Tart lights up with excitement, saying it feels like a real adventure. Meanwhile, the Pope quietly thinks to herself that even though this situation is happening at Leroy's request, she wishes it did not have to come to this. She looks out the window at the moon and prays for the Lord to let the happiness of the people and peace in this world continue for many more days. So that is why she was out today. But then she tells them that if it is all right with them, she would like to form a party. Later, Kent waves at them excitedly, and Coco follows with a bright smile. Coco says she is glad to see them again, and Kent adds that it is good to see she is doing well. Charlotte looks at them with her mouth slightly open and says the two of them look like first-rate adventurers now. Kent smiles and says they have fought in many battles since she was away. Coco then looks at Tart and asks who she is. Tart politely greets them and says she is an alchemist. Coco crouches down and says she has never met an alchemist before, while Kent says that is amazing. She looks so young. Charlotte tells them that Tart is her apprentice. Both of them look surprised and say they thought Charlotte was a healer. They exchange glances and then look back at Charlotte, saying, "This is Chiron they are talking about." Charlotte tilts her head and asks what they mean, slightly annoyed. But they ignore her and turn back to Tart. Kent introduces himself first, saying he is Kent, a swordsman. Coco smiles and says she is Coco, a sorcerer. It is nice to meet her. Coco then looks up at Charlotte and asks if these are the friends she wanted to form a party with. Charlotte replies that is right. She has hunted wolves with them before. She then tells them that if they do not mind, she would like the four of them to register as a party. Coco immediately agrees with a smile. Kent says they can, but maybe they should start with something easier, like gathering medicinal herbs. Charlotte tells them not to go easy on Tart because she is aiming to grow strong. At that moment, Tart steps forward. She clenches her fist and declares she wants to become a fighting alchemist. Charlotte crosses her arms and looks proudly at her. Then Charlotte declares that, in that case, they should hunt orcs in the Sunlit Grove today. Later, Kent's face turns pale as he stares at the massive monsters in front of them. He points and says it is insane. It is one thing to hunt orcs, but there are also snakes and spiders. Coco returns after scouting and says the experience gained is tempting, but the recommended level for orcs is quite high. She thinks it might be too dangerous. Charlotte tells her it is fine. They can defeat them if they work together. Kent asks her to explain the plan. Charlotte calmly says it is simple. The main attack will be Tart's potion throw. She will use Molotovs, which create a powerful explosion within a 3-meter radius. Kent says that means he should draw their attention as the front line, and once they are grouped together, Tart will attack. Charlotte confirms that is correct. With Molotovs, they can wipe out spiders and snakes in one hit, while orcs will take about 2 hits plus a bit more damage. Coco says that in that case, if she covers that remaining gap after 2 Molotovs, they should be able to win. Charlotte says yes and praises her for being smart. She adds that another key factor is her strengthening skill, Goddess Smite, which will double the power of the next attack. Coco gasps and repeats, "Double?" Tart asks if that means strengthening her skills, trailing off in thought. Charlotte nods with a smile and says that is right. With Coco's support, even 1 Molotov might be enough. They should aim to minimize attacks and item usage. Coco starts to feel more confident and says they might actually be able to do this. Charlotte smiles and tells Tart that her role is very important. She will use potion throw right after being strengthened with Goddess Smite. If things get dangerous or too many monsters appear, she can attack without waiting. Tart blinks in surprise, realizing how important her role is. Charlotte apologizes for giving her such a crucial role in her first real battle, but promises to support her fully. Kent and Coco smile and say she can count on them too. Charlotte tells everyone they will do it together, then cast Strengthen and Goddess Protection on all of them, followed by Regeneration on Kent and Mana Regeneration on Tart, Coco, and herself. Soon, orcs approach, along with spiders and snakes. Kent rushes forward, drawing their attention. Charlotte watches and shouts that his taunt is perfect. He has secured aggro. She then tells him to fall back immediately. At that moment, Coco and Tart move in. Tart throws her potion, and Coco fires her arrows. A massive explosion erupts. Everyone watches in silence. Then Charlotte smiles and says they did it. Kent looks stunned and says he cannot believe it. Coco says she cannot believe they defeated an orc so easily. Charlotte says it was all thanks to both of them. She then praises Tart for doing well in her very first battle. Tart thanks her and says the attack was stronger than she imagined. Charlotte says a fighting alchemist really is amazing. Tart jumps in excitement and says she wants to become even stronger. Kent says he does too and wants to keep hunting orcs to level up. Coco narrows her eyes and tells him not to get reckless. Afterward, Coco says that was a lot for one day, but they leveled up quickly. Kent laughs and says it is all thanks to Tart's potion throw. Tart insists it was because they all work together. Coco smiles and agrees. Kent then asks why they are hunting orcs specifically. Charlotte replies it is because they need orcs' rags to make Molotovs. Kent grimaces and calls them those smelly rags. Coco asks what else is needed to make Molotovs. Tart explains 2 fire mushrooms, 1 magic stone, 1 bottle of oil, orc rags, and 1 empty potion bottle for each Molotov. Both look completely bewildered and ask, doesn't that cost a lot? Charlotte tells them their bigger problem is that it is hard to procure orc rags since there are not many ways to get them. Kent says, so this hunt was also to collect drop items. Huh? Charlotte tells them that if they do not mind, she wants to buy their portions of the orc rags that drop today. Kent tells her she does not have to pay them. She can just take them all. They leveled up a lot today, and hopefully this will help them with the cost of ingredients. Tart thanks them very much. Kent declares that from now on, anytime he gets orc rags, he will give Tart a shout. Tart says that would be great. Later, in the market, Kent says, well, since they got paid for that quest. Charlotte adds that it is time to head home, but both look at each other with mischievous looks and suddenly declare they should go eat some meat instead. Coco smiles and says they missed out last time. They all cheer up with big glasses of drinks, and Kent says that was someday. Coco looks at Charlotte and says that when they are with her, every minute feels so rich. Charlotte replies, really? Just then the waiter comes and serves their special steak, nice and thick, and tells them to dig in. All of them groan in delight. It is delicious. Coco says it is tender and thick. Tart says it is so delicious. Kent tells Tart to eat all she wants. She is the VIP today. She thanks Coco and Kent, but Kent immediately protests and tells her to just call him Kent. Coco reminds her they are in the same party. Are they not? She says in that case, they will treat each other as friends. She then asks if the two of them have been working together the whole time. Kent replies that they are still green. Coco says Kent and she grew up in the same village. Charlotte says she met their mothers in the farming village. Coco looks shocked. Charlotte tells Kent that Molly was complaining that he never writes to her. Kent looks embarrassed and mutters, geez, Mom. Coco asks if her mother said anything as well. Charlotte replies that she was very worried about her, but when she heard she was a promising adventurer, she seemed reassured. Coco asks about Kent, and Charlotte replies that he is promising too, and was surprised he had learned taunt. He smiles and says that's right. Coco says after their wolf hunt, Kent was impressed by Charlotte, and Kent admits he was too. Charlotte looks surprised and asks, really? Coco smiles and says they basically ran away to come to Zyle. They had no knowledge or experience, so it was terrible in the beginning. Kent adds that a sketchy merchant once sold them fake weapons, and they had a party member with poor support skills, so they got beaten up. Tart says that sounds tough. Coco says that is why they were amazed when they met Charlotte, a level 1 healer beating wolves and healing injuries. Kent adds that she could also use strengthening skills. Tart looks at her in surprise. Kent says they were impressed, but it also made them feel a bit down. Coco says they had been adventuring longer, yet she kept healing them. That is why they decided to become stronger and better adventurers like her. Tarte says she is knowledgeable and cool and admires her too. Flustered, Charlotte quickly changes the topic and suggests ordering more dishes like the wrapped meat bake. Coco points out she is embarrassed. Kent says pigs must be flying. After they finish eating, they step out feeling full. Charlotte suggests taking a walk before heading home. As they walk, she looks around and says the city under the sun is beautiful, but at night it feels mystical in a different way. Kent says he really loves good views. Coco adds that it is soothing, isn't it? She then notices a stall selling picture postcards. Charlotte says even if they cannot take photos, painted cards can preserve beauty like this. Kent asks what she means, but she says it is nothing and tells him to send one to his family. He says it is not really his thing, but Coco says they should send one together. Their mothers will be happy. He agrees. Tarte smiles and says she wants to send one to everyone in Katora too. Charlotte says that is a good idea. On the other hand, Leroy slumps onto the ground, his whole body throbbing. He screams Rodney Herbaz, that shameless traitor. He weakly says he would never let him have his way. Never. On the other hand, Charlotte and Tarte are covering their noses, shutting their eyes. Tarte mutters that they cannot do something about this smell. Charlotte replies that she knows how she feels. That said, they need to keep a regular stock of orc rags. If only there was an item that could effectively deodorize them. Tarte asks what if they wash the rags. But Charlotte says if they carelessly handle the materials, it could impact the quality of Molotovs. She admits that is true, but then says what if they at least layered up on handkerchiefs to block the smell? Charlotte says that there is an item that protects them from bad odors and gas. It is called a protective mask. Tarte says she wants that right now. Can they buy it at that equipment shop? Charlotte says she does not think they had any the last time they were there. Knowing him, if he had any stock like that, he would have definitely recommended it to them when they asked about orc rags. Tarte says she is absolutely right about that. They say they have a solution, but still there is nothing they can do. However, Charlotte tells her it is too soon to give up. When in trouble, they go to the Guild and Adventurers Ally. Prim asks them, a protective mask? Charlotte replies, yes, they are struggling to use the orc rags. Tarte says they really want to get their hands on some masks. Prim says that material is difficult to handle. There are several masks in their stock, but they are not for sale. Charlotte looks shocked and despaired. She says, cannot they just have one? Prim apologizes and says that is guild regulation, but she can tell them how to get one. Later, they are staring at the withered spring. Charlotte looks at the venom-spouting witches. If they successfully hunt them, protective masks might drop. Tarte says they should definitely get one. Charlotte says there are a lot of poison ponds, so they should be careful. But she can heal any effects of poison with Cure, a skill that fixes status conditions, so she does not need to worry. Tarte says that is reassuring. Venom-spouting witches have low defense, so if they strengthen her with Goddess Smite, one Molotov should be enough. Charlotte tells Tarte she can attack them while she distracts them. Tarte tells her she can count on her. Charlotte says she will keep a barrier up with Goddess Protection the whole time, so she is free to go all out. Now then, Goddess Smite on Tarte and Goddess Protection on both of them. She then tells Tarte to do it now. Tarte quickly calls out to the witch and throws the potion. An explosion occurs, and she quickly runs back to Charlotte and asks if she is all right. She replies yes and says nice attack. Charlotte looks at the dropped items, and it is not what they wanted. Tarte asks her what it is. She replies it is called Witch's Brew. It will give her an upset stomach, so she should not drink it. After attacking multiple witches, Tarte stands there with eyes full of excitement and declares they finally got a protective mask. Charlotte smiles and says congratulations. The greedy side of her wishes they could get one more. Tarte says they are running short on Molotovs. Charlotte says they will try again another day. But suddenly, a scream cuts through the air. Charlotte turns her head in shock. They hear a girl screaming. Charlotte looks at Tarte and tells her that whatever happens, she is supposed to stay behind her. She quickly casts Goddess Magic on Tarte, along with Goddess Protection, Strengthening, Regeneration, and Mana Rations on both of them. They spot a girl crying there, curled up as witches surround her. Charlotte quickly tells Tart to use Molotovs on the witches and activates goddess protection on the girl herself. As they approach, Charlotte says hang on, she is so worn out, and uses cure and mana rations on her. She then says she feels better. Tart gives her a soft smile and tells her she is safe now. She stands on shaky legs and bows, saying thank you for saving me. Charlotte says she is glad she is alright, but then she freezes, her eyes widening in disbelief. Tart calls out to her. She quickly says, "Oh, it is nothing," and says they should go somewhere safe. Why do not they go back to where they left their horse? Tart says it is a good idea and asks the girl if she can walk. She replies yes. She then lifts the protective mask with both hands and cheers, saying the witch dropped a protective mask. She replies yeah, they got lucky, while Charlotte stands there in shock. Later, looking around, Tart asks if they went too deep into the area. There are so many poisonous ponds, it is hard to navigate. But then the Pope steps forward and says, God is Florida land. Then her holy power. God is sanctuary. The land is being purified right before their eyes. Tart looks shocked and says she has never seen a skill like this before. The Pope says this is the least she can do and tells them to go. They arrive at the horse and Charlotte says they should be safe now. Tart turns to the Pope and asks if she is feeling well. They can take her to the doctor in town. She replies no, she is fine. Charlotte gets to the point and asks does she have something she cannot tell them? She then introduces herself as Sharon, a healer, and asks who she is. She replies she has no need to keep secrets. She is Tithia, the Pope. Tart exclaims, the Pope looking shocked, while Charlotte stands there with a tense look. Tart then asks the question again. Does she mean the Pope who lives in that crystal castle? She nods and replies yes. Its official name is the Crystalline Cathedral. Charlotte thinks she knew it. Tithia, the Pope, was an NPC in Rees, but she does not remember any scenario or event where someone ran into her like this, yet it is happening. Tart says then she has to go back right away. Everyone at the cathedral must be so worried. The Pope says she cannot go back to Zil. Charlotte asks her why. She quietly says that if she told them, she would only get the two of them caught up in her problems. Charlotte thinks she cannot return to Zil, but that is the stronghold of the Pope. Have her enemies taken over the government? The city appeared unchanged to her. But if the conflict has begun underneath the surface, the Pope is the symbol of the sacred land of Erenzi. So it is not out of the question that some might want her gone. If so, this is a serious issue that involves the deepest depths of Erenzi. They probably should not get themselves caught up in it. She replies, understood. Her concern is appreciated, and they should go. But then she looks at her with fierce eyes and says, no way they are doing anything like that. Charlotte thinks for a moment. She is a child. It is not right to chase her off to fend for herself. She does not know who did this, but there is no way she can let that stand. Charlotte leans closer and says they became involved the second day they rescued her. If they abandoned her now, they would fail as adventurers. She then tells her, how about they travel to Snowdia, the Everfrost city, together? They will have to camp one night on the way, but it is far enough from Zil that she thinks it will make a good base for her. Tithia softly says that would be quite helpful. Tart says then they should do that. It is hard to be alone. Tithia looks at them for a moment, then shuts her eyes, her face filled with gratitude, and tells them thank you so much. Later, Charlotte is out guarding the tent when Tart walks out. Charlotte asks her how her holiness is. She replies she is fast asleep. She was delighted that her pristine ring cleaned her clothes perfectly. Charlotte says she is glad, but she looked so pale the whole time. Tart says maybe she still felt tense after that frightening experience. She is sure that is part of it. But then Charlotte looks at Tart and says she is sorry for dragging her around and deciding to leave Zil all of a sudden. Tart smiles and tells her that is totally fine. Besides, she is glad that she decided they should travel with Her Holiness. She bets Her Holiness wanted to ask someone for help, but could not. She does not know the reason, but she can understand how that feels. She is only here now because she got help from her sister, her friends, and Charlotte. Her Holiness needed someone too. In fact, it reassured her that she made the right decision in becoming her apprentice. Charlotte says she has such a wonderful apprentice. Tart blushes and says she is making her blush now. The next morning, they are in Snowdya, the Everfrost city. The snowy landscape does its name justice. The whole city is white. Charlotte says they can finally relax now that they have found lodging. Tart says there is a hot spring in the room. It is so fancy. Charlotte tells her she saw a transportation gate earlier, and she will go back to Zil to check them out of the inn there and leave a message for Kent and Coco at the guild. Charlotte returns to Tithia and asks her if she will stay there with Tart while she goes out shopping. She replies, of course, and tells her to stay safe. Tart waves and tells her to have a safe trip. She thanks them and says she will see them soon. Later, she goes to the transportation gate, places her hand on it, and says, Central Plaza, the holy capital of Zil. Suddenly, the orb glows, and she disappears, finding herself back at the capital. She says first she will go to the guild. On the way, she finds Coco and Kent and quickly follows them. Coco says Prim told them she headed to Withered Spring. Kent says but they did not hear from her. They had been so worried. She says she is sorry. They were in a situation and had to relocate to Snowdya suddenly. Kent says, is that not the northern city where it is winter all year round? Will she be staying there for a while? She replies, probably. She is sorry that her timing never works out, but Kent says now they are sorry. They are not ready to go up north yet. Coco says they would not be able to handle the cold without proper equipment. She replies, yeah. Kent then says he does not know what happened, and he would not ask her for details now. It is not like they can stop her, but she should never forget they are here for her. She looks at him with a soft expression and says thank you. She has already grabbed their luggage from the inn and wants to check out Zil quickly. She does not see anything unusual, but decides she should check around the cathedral just in case. She should also check the progress on her Holy Maiden quest. At the cathedral, she tells the nun she would like to see His Grace, Bishop Leroy. The nun looks tense and then asks what this is about. Charlotte admits he was a great help to her before, so she wanted to say hello. The nun lowers her gaze and says, unfortunately, he has been transferred away. Charlotte thinks he was transferred at a time like this. It does not sound like a promotion either. But then she freezes as a sudden noise cuts through the cathedral. A woman snaps, stop being so mean. This time, she will tell her how to become a holy maiden. Charlotte watches in shock. Amelia, what is she doing here? More importantly, did she just say holy maiden? The nun tells her they have told her many times already, but no one knows how to become a holy maiden. She must begin with praying to Goddess Florida and training. Amelia snaps that she does not have another moment to waste. Charlotte watches from behind one of the pillars, thinking she has not changed at all. It will be such a hassle if she notices her. She should better get out of here. Outside, she thinks the fact that Amelia is here must mean that Prince is here too, just like the rumors said. She has to make sure she does not run into him. She found out nothing about the possible enemies of Her Holiness Tithia, nor her Holy Maiden quest. She does not want to dig too deep and get in trouble. She should head back. But suddenly, someone grabs her. She freezes and looks back in shock. On the other hand, Tithia says she is quite late and wonders if she is okay. Tart tells her she has never been to Snowdya before, so that is slowing her down, but she will be fine. Tithia says she wishes she could have been of some help. Tart smiles at her and tells her, why do not they try the hot spring attached to this room? Tithia asks if that is where Chiron is doing the shopping for them in this cold weather. Tart tells her she was worried that she did not look well. If the hot spring lifts her spirit, it will relieve Chiron as well. She says in that case, she will take her up on that offer. Tart admits she has never been in a hot spring before. Tithia tells her it will be nice to stretch her legs in a large tub. She then picks up some bathing robes and asks if they wear one of these. Tithia replies yes, and says it is made from the skin of a jellyfish-like monster. Tart looks at her in shock and says it is monster skin. When she wears it, she says it feels just like regular clothes. She then splashes hot water on her body and suddenly freezes, her eyes widening in disbelief as she realizes it absorbs the water and turns squishy like a living jellyfish. It does not even feel wet. Tithia smiles and says it is convenient, isn't it? Soon both are inside the spring, enjoying it. Tart lets out a breath she did not realize she was holding and says it is like heaven. Tithia agrees it is warm and comforting. Tart asks her if camping last night makes this even better. She replies yes. The pristine ring helped her wash her clothes, but the comfort the hot spring provides is on another level entirely. She then touches her hair, saying she does not think she tied it properly. Tart says if she does not mind, she can fix it for her and tells her to turn the other way, please. When she turns, Tart begins fixing her hair with a smile, but suddenly freezes. On the other hand, Charlotte's heart violently throbs in her chest. A cold dread creeps up her spine. The grip from earlier flashes in her mind again. Was that the prince? Her breath tightens. She has to run. She screams, let go. But then Leroy's voice cuts in low and urgent, whispering right beside her ear to be quiet. He would not hurt her. She turns to him in shock. He says he is sorry for frightening her, but he needed to talk to her. But the moment her eyes drop to his body, her expression twists in disbelief. He is badly injured. Blood everywhere. This is not a normal wound. She quickly uses her healing powers, regeneration, and mana restoration, her hands trembling slightly as light surges through him. He exhales sharply and then says thank you for helping him. She asks him what happened and what he is doing here. He says let him explain, but first they should go somewhere safe. He leads her to a small house hidden away. She asks him what this is. He replies it is his hideout for emergencies. She says it does look like an emergency. He says yes, that is why he needs her help. She tells him she is just a fledgling adventurer. Her level as a healer is also low. But he abruptly cuts her off and says she completed a quest, the Jewel of Lament, which has not been fulfilled for a long time. The skill of an adventurer is not measured solely by level. She asks him to tell her what he thinks she can do for him. He asks her if she knows the cardinal by the name of Rodney Hervis. She replies no, she has never heard that name before. Yet something about it feels wrong. There were a huge number of NPCs in Reese too. It is possible this is a character she did not know about. Leroy tells her that despite holding an elevated position as clergy, Rodney disguises his own agenda and has been doing the work of the Pope to take over the domain of Arenzi using the forces he bought. He finally led a rebellion the other day. The crystalline cathedral, which should have been under the reign of the Pope, is now under Rodney's control. The paladins and the vassals fought back, but even their resistance was swallowed in chaos. All they could manage was to evacuate the Pope from Arenzi. In the midst of the collapse, the Pope's faction was scattered. He has not been able to find any of them yet. She says she sees, but her thoughts are anything but calm. The image of a desperate escape flickers in her mind. With no guards, no protection, Her Holiness must have been truly cornered. She asks carefully if he is Her Holiness's ally. He replies immediately, of course, his voice firm with conviction. He dedicates his body and soul to Her Holiness. She watches him closely. He is not lying. She asks again why he needs her help. He replies he wants her to look for the Pope. He rises suddenly and says he understands they should not involve civilians in their politics, however. He cannot do this alone. He promises a suitable reward. He leans forward until they are eye level, his voice dropping into something desperate. Escaping Rodney and his men is not enough. Death is already closing in on Her Holiness as they speak. She flinches hard, her breath catching. What does he mean by that? He tells her it is faster to show her. Forgive his impropriety. He pulls his clothing away, and in that instant, her breath stops. A cursed sigil burns across his back, and the same mark is on Tithia's back. Tart sees it too. Her expression snaps into pure shock. On the other hand, Rodney's son reports to him that the Pope, he corrects himself quickly. The former Pope, Tithia, is still missing. Her vassal, Leroy, has been gravely injured, but they have not been able to locate his body yet. Rodney lets out an unbothered breath. No matter. Dethroned and separated from her aide. He doubts that little girl has the ability to retaliate now. He tells him to minimize the search party. Things are about to become far more active elsewhere. Then he looks at his son, Owen, with a twisted smirk. He says he has high hopes for him. Owen places a hand on his chest and bows. at your service. But his eyes give nothing away.